back in 1990. So I'll share all those experiences with you. Okay, and one important perspective will just you must be aware that we will discuss is Bloom's taxonomy, right? So what is Bloom's taxonomy and how you can use it for, you can say, almost every purpose of teaching, learning, and the entire teaching process in general, right? So this is what is there on the agenda. Okay, let me share my slides with you. Okay, I don't think that I require any introduction. Okay, some of you must be aware because your institution is affiliated to Sant Gadge Baba Amravati University. I am Professor Mohammad Atiq, right? I am working as a professor and head in the Department of Computer Science. Okay, and holding additional charge of the director UGC MMTC since last 2.5 years. Okay, so let me share my presentation with you. I hope okay, the all the slides. Let me share the slides first of all. I hope my slides are visible to you. Any one of you just confirm.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes.
And the slides are in presentation mode, and let us hope that the slides are changing, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks for the confirmation, sir. Okay, thanks for the confirmation. Oh, what has happened? I don't know, my team is there or not, but whether they have started the recording, that I wanted to confirm. Anyway, right, so this is what is there on the agenda. Okay, this is what is there on the agenda as far as today's session is concerned. I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay. So as I've told you that in the first session, that is maybe for around 90 minutes, we will build a theoretical foundation. What is Bloom's taxonomy, which you can use as a pedagogical tool for teaching, learning, and assessment. Okay. And then the second session, we will just try to apply this taxonomy using some ICT tools for various teaching, learning activities, and so on. That is what is there on the agenda, right? So having said this, I hope I am loud and clear and you people are with me. Okay, let me start with the learning objective as far as these two sessions are concerned. So I have planned it in such a way that is, let's say we will start with various terms in psychologies of learning and instruction. Okay, those who are from education background, they may found it little bit, you can say, very fundamental. But as a teacher, what I feel that we should know certain aspects. There are very many things wherein we mix up and we feel that they are one and the same, right? So we'll just try to explore all those terminologies in a greater detail. We will then we will have a look at what they call it as the teaching learning process in general. Okay, wherein we will discuss the basic teaching model in detail. Okay, so there are, as a matter of fact, there are 4 blocks. We'll just try to have a look at all those 4 blocks in a greater details. Then we will just have some discussion on various factors influencing learning. What are the modes of learning, transfer of learning? Okay, wherein we will just try to digest. That is, most of the time we feel as a teacher that whenever we teach, only positive transfer takes place. So what are the other possibilities? We will just try to explore. That is, what is negative transfer and what is zero transfer and so on. And as I said, that the rest of the session will be devoted to, you can say, the various tools, which makes your life little bit more comfortable. So what is assessment? What is SAMR model? That is typically a model which is used for evaluating whether a particular tool is a standard tool or not. Okay. And then we will, in between, I may offer you some tea, that is because we will have a look at technology enabled assessment tool. Okay, so we will just try to have tea in between, and then at the end we will have some discussion on various tools of teaching, learning, and assessment. More specifically, we will explore assessment tool in a greater detail. Right now, having said this, here I would love to interact with you, all of you. Okay, because we are all teacher and we are rather our sector, edtech sector, is basically moving ahead in a transformative mode. Okay, wherein you are feeling a lot of changes when it comes to, you can say, the technological development and so on. So I very well remember that when I started my career way back in 1990, okay, there was only one qualification which was needed, that is a BE BTech in computer science. Okay, it's first class. That was the only eligibility criteria. But let's say if you look at the today's scenario, so things have changed drastically. What I intend to say is things have changed drastically. So being a teacher, we need to change. And the another important aspect, okay, which is touching upon everybody's life, whether you are a teacher or you are a lawyer or you are a medical professional, right, or whatever profession you enjoy, right, we are all witnessing the use of extensive use of AI in particular. Okay, so being a teacher, how we need to adapt to this technology, that is again the bottom line of today's deliberation. Okay, we will just try to explore those things in a greater detail. But before moving ahead directly with those aspects, let us try to build some foundation, theoretical foundation, as I said. Okay, so these are some of the psychological learning terminologies we use very oftenly in our day-to-day discussion. Okay, one of them is the pedagogy, then the andragogy, teaching, training, and learning. Now, we will just try to understand these things, okay, from various perspectives. So, before I proceed, okay, I would love to hear your own understanding about pedagogy. That is, what is your perception about pedagogy? आपको क्या लगता है? So, in between, I will have, you can say, discussion in Hindi or Marathi as well. I am comfortable in both the languages because I am born and brought up in Maharashtra only, right? So, what I intend to say is, what is pedagogy in general? This is my open-ended question, and I would love to hear your responses with regard to pedagogy. तो आपको क्या लगता है कि what is pedagogy? What pedagogy is all about? Any one of you, you can unmute yourself. I hope you enjoyed those rights. Okay.
Yes,
And
sir.
yeah.
Pedagogy is a method of teaching.
Yes, great. Madam, may I know your good name, please?
Dr. Manisha Yadav, Murtijapur, Sri Gadge Maharaj Mahavidyalaya, Murtijapur.
Yes, ma'am. So, and madam has rightly pointed out that it is nothing but the method of teaching. Correct, ma'am? Is it a method of teaching, or it is more than that, or anybody else who wish to talk on this pedagogy? What is a pedagogy? Great. Whatever you said, it's again correct. Okay, there is no doubt about it. But let us see and understand what pedagogy is all about. So whatever you do in a classroom kind of environment, let's say if I ask you to deliver a session tomorrow from 10:30 to 11:30, okay, you adopt some or the other pedagogy. So pedagogy is nothing but the method and practice of teaching. Okay, and that too especially as an academic subject or theoretical concept. That is, whatever you do in a theory session, okay, whatever approach you adopt, it is nothing but the pedagogy. And as madam has pointed out, that is the ultimate aim of, yes sir, anybody else, anybody else who wish to speak, speak. I request all the participants to either mute themselves. Yes, madam. Madam or sir, I don't know who is speaking, but I request all of you to please mute yourself, right? Please mute yourself, right? Or otherwise, if you want to speak, no problem. Okay, you can unmute, but don't discuss amongst yourself because that will create a little bit problem, okay, in my deliberation. So it is the discipline that deals with the theory and practice of education. So it is thus concerned with the study of how best to teach. What is the underlying principle of adopting some or the other pedagogy? Is ultimate aim is to how best to teach. That is how best we can. Yes, ma'am. Please, ma'am. I request all of you. All of you. I don't know who is speaking. I don't know who is speaking. Okay. Yes. Okay, so if you look at the, you can say, if you just try to dig pedagogy in a greater detail, it is, as a matter of fact, it is Herbert's educational philosophy and pedagogy which highlighted the correlation between personal development and resulting benefits to the society. So what I'm trying to emphasize here is that is whatever approach you adopt when you start delivering in a theory session, it is nothing but the pedagogy. Now, I may ask you that is how you will proceed. Let's say if I ask you to deliver a session, what are the various steps you will adopt for proceeding ahead for the preparation of your session? So, are there any specific steps one has to follow as a teacher? Okay, the answer is a big yes, I should say, right? And what is it? As a matter of fact, we must adopt a 5-step process. Okay, so what are those 5 steps? Let us just try to understand in a greater detail. So Herbert, once again, who is the you can say the founder of this particular term, okay, he has suggested 5 crucial components, okay, or stages of adopting some or the other pedagogy. What are those stages? The very first step is preparation. Okay, so whenever you have been asked to deliver something, okay, definitely it is expected that you must prepare it. Then you must go for the presentation, and there are 3 more steps. Okay. Ideally, I'm saying, ideally expected from a teacher, that is the association, generalization, and application. But if you look at these things, okay, we are definitely we are very good at when it comes to preparation and presentation. But when it comes to association, generalization, and application, most of us as a teacher, I am making a bold statement. I know I am addressing to a crowd, okay, those who are senior professors and so on. But this is based on my experiences. In general, I am telling you that this is not applicable to all. But most of us, we fail to what should I say? That is when it comes to association, generalization, and application, we most of us we struggle. Why I'm saying so? Okay. Or do you agree with me as far as these whatever statements I have made just now is correct or not? आप में से कितने को लगता है कि अपन एज ए टीचर एसोसिएशन, जनरलाइजेशन एंड एप्लीकेशन की जब बात होती है, जो कोई भी टॉपिक आप पढ़ा रहे हैं, तो it is expected that you must try to associate those things with the real life examples. You have to come up with some generalization kind of thing, and you must be able to demonstrate that is in real life scenario where that concept can be applied. Okay. So we are most of us, we are very good in our own subject, but when it comes to dealing with association, generalization, and application, most of us, we struggle. Okay. So most of us, we struggle. Okay. But having said this, with due respect, okay, let me give some examples. For example, I am a man from computer science. So I have been taught around 5 odd subjects of mathematics, maths 1 to math 5, and so on. And they have been taught. My teachers were all great teachers. I did my graduation from government engineering. But what has happened? They were good in mathematics, but they were not at all aware about, let's say, if they are teaching a Laplace transform, a Z transform, what are the application areas of those things, and how it can be applied to maybe AI, or maybe the image processing and signal processing and so on. So what I intend to say is, so they have taught us that is how to solve a particular problem, how to solve a particular mathematical problem. But when it comes to association, generalization, and application, most of us we struggle. Most of us we struggle. Right. So there is another terminology which I have kept in my slide number 2, if you remember, that is the andragogy. So what is andragogy? Any one of you, can you elaborate on this? What is your perception about andragogy? Have you heard andragogy, any one of you?
No,
Those
sir.
who are from EdTech, yes, sir.
No.
Sir,
It is
please.
again the method and practice. Hello, sir.
जी जी बोलिए.
Sir, it is again the method and practice, and especially for adult education.
Great, great. So, madam, you have rightly pointed out that when you are dealing with adult learners, okay. Now, if you look at the kind of input you get, okay, in your institution, because most of us, we are from senior colleges and so on, right? So they are all, they are not small kids, okay. They are all grown up adults, okay. So you need to adapt. Instead of what should I say, pedagogy, you need to adopt what they call it as andragogy. So what is it? It is once again method and practice of teaching adult learners, as madam has rightly pointed out, right? And if you look at this term is not at all new. It was very first time it was tossed by Alexander Capp in 1833. Okay, but you may say, sir, what is the difference between andragogy and pedagogy, right? So it is as a matter of fact, it is the science of understanding theory and the supporting practice. Okay, so it is a good mix of theoretical aspects and the practical aspects, right? And that's why and if you look at the kind of, now you are dealing with adult learners, so in what way as a teacher you need to change yourself? Because most of the time we as a teacher, we feel that we are the only source of information, right? Rather we are the, that is whatever learning takes place, that takes place within the four walls of the institution or within the four walls of the classroom, wherein you are undertaking a particular class or a lab session or whatever. But that is again wrong, right? So we need to, as a teacher, when you are dealing with adult learners, we need to change our role from teacher to a facilitator of learning, right? So you need to create a conducive environment wherein the learning takes place, right? So because there are thousands of sources now, particularly with the you can say the advent of rather the technological development of AI and all, what is happening? Okay, there are thousands of sources of learning, right? Sources of you can say the information. Okay, so the students are well equipped with lot of stuff when they enter into your session, right? So you should not underestimate them, right? So what is your role? You need to change your role from a teacher to a facilitator of learning, right? So this is as a matter of fact a change in your mindset which is needed, okay, when you are dealing with adult learners, right? When you are dealing with adult learners, so instead of adopting some pedagogy, you need to adopt what they call it as the andragogy. That is one aspect, right? Apart from this, there are two or three more terms which I have kept on the very first the psychological learning terminologies. The third one of them is the teaching. So what is teaching and who is the teacher, right? So we are most of the time we feel that when you, it is said that I'm putting out on a very lighter note, that when you don't get any kind of job, the most easiest job is the teacher's job, right? As a matter of fact, it is one of the most challenging job. So what is teaching? It is defined as an interactive process primarily involving classroom which takes place between the teacher and the student. So there has to be a dialogue. Okay, it should not be a monologue kind of thing. So thereby, what is the output of teaching? The output of teaching is the learning. Okay. And that's why when we will explore these things in a greater detail, you will find that the teaching is at the top and the learning is at the bottom, right? So it is a product. Learning is a product of teaching. But who is a teacher? Okay, so teacher's job is, as I said, it is one of the most challenging job in the world. Why it is so? Because if you want to be a good teacher, okay, you have to have lot many qualities in yourself. So what are the qualities that a good teacher must possess, right? Or an ideal teacher must possess? He must have the creative proficiency of an artist, the precise attitude of a scientist, and the perfected skills of a craftsman. Now, I've very easily I've read out all these statements, but as a matter of fact, they are domain in themselves, right? And why I said that teaching is one of the most challenging job, because whenever you are addressing to a class of 60 odd student, as a matter of fact, you are facing 60 odd challenges in front of you, because each student is different. His or her learning capabilities are different. There are slow learners, there are fast learners, there are persons, there are students in between, and so on, right? So teaching is not at all easy. It is one of, and every year what happens, you get the new batch which enters into your institution. So you are having altogether fresh input. Okay, so your system is very dynamic. Okay, the input changes. Okay, and your role as a teacher again, you are facing all those students. Okay, so it is not at all easy, my dear friends, right? So one has to understand why teaching is one of the most challenging job, right? What is training? The another term which is usually tossed in many times we put a slash between teaching and training and so on, right? But as a matter of fact, they are altogether different. So what is it? Training is an organized activity aimed at imparting information and or instruction to improve the recipient's performance or to help him or her to attain required level of knowledge or skill. So here main focal point in case of training is the knowledge or skill. Knowledge maybe in some cases, but most of the time it is the skill which is of prime importance. So it is, and what is, how does it is different from teaching. Okay, it is basically of a shorter duration. Okay, say let's say you want to learn how to drive a car, so you will not join a college or an institution for that purpose. You may join a driving school wherein you will undergo maybe 3 or 4 week shorter duration course, and after the completion of that course you should be able to drive the car. So it is expected to give immediate results. That is, moment you finish that 4 week or 8 week training, you should be able to perform that task effectively and efficiently, right? Now if you look at the historical perspective of training, it was tossed in you can say during, rather it has evolved in during World War II. So what has happened? There was, you can say, right now it is happening in Q as well, right? So there is dearth of, you can say, the soldiers. So what they did, they trained ordinary citizens to operate. That is how to operate, you can say, the warfare equipments. And those people on a very short training, okay, they were deployed on the war front. So that is the historical perspective. So training is altogether different. It is how it is different from teaching. It is basically of a shorter duration, and it is expected to give immediate results and so on. Right. Now, what is learning again? Okay, now let us, this is probably the last term as far as the psychological learning terminologies are concerned. Okay, so learning is relatively permanent change in behavior. Okay, so whatever you do, or rather in your classroom or a laboratory session, okay, the output of that teaching is nothing but the learning. Okay, it is the product of you can say teaching. Okay, so it is relatively permanent change in behavior resulting from reinforced practice. You do it again and again, and then you acquire certain skills or knowledge, and then you will be declared as pass or fail in that examination, right? So it is a process as well as a product. Why I'm saying process as well as a product? Okay, whenever a student enter into your system, he or she will undergo maybe depending upon the duration, maybe 6 semester or 8 semester, various courses you will taught them, and then when they complete that particular course, they become your product. Okay, and that product must be employable. Now here we need to keep in our mind that is whatever education, whatever changes which are happening in NEP 2020, those prospective will explore it in a greater detail. So that product must be employable. If it is not employable, meaning thereby there is something wrong in your system, right? We need to correct that, rather we need to correct, rather take some corrective measures to correct that problem. Okay, it is the nature or tendency of human beings. So again, many times we feel that the learning or the teaching takes place within the four walls. That is again wrong, right? Many times you learn from your parents, you learn from the society, and so on and so forth, right? So it is the process of mental development. What is learning? If you go in a greater detail, you will understand that it is basically a process of your mental development, and there are three important perspectives of it. The very first perspective is the cognitive, second is the affective, and the third one is the psychomotor, right? So basically, whenever you undergo any particular course, okay, you have been acquiring certain, you can say, the your mental development will take place. So it must take place in these three perspectives. So these are the three dimensions. Okay, cognitive, affective, and psychomotor. We will elaborate this on the slides to come. And as I was saying, that is, it is both positive and negative. Okay, learning is both positive and negative. Most of the time, okay, it is presumed that, rather we feel that it has to be, and ideally it has to be positive transfer, but there are few more possibilities, that is negative and zero. Again, I'll talk on that in the slides to come. It is individual in nature. Why I'm saying individual in nature? Because Each individual is different. Your learning space is different. Your IQ is different. My IQ is different, and somebody else's IQ is different. So there are fast learners, there are slow learners, and so on. And if you look at this in a broader perspective, learning is creative. It makes you critical thinker. Let's say if you are undergoing a particular course and if you are uh, acquiring this characteristics, that is critical thinking, it is said that you have learned certain things, right? So there are certain things which are coming up in your own way and you are dealing with those things in your own way. Okay, you are becoming a critical thinker. That is the ultimate objective of any education system. So having said this, let us just try to look at what are the goals of an education. Okay, so if you look at this as a systematic approach, okay, you will understand that the students are learners are there. Okay, then you have a curriculum. Okay, they undertake that curriculum, and then in the curriculum, what do? We define certain outcomes, and then as I said, whatever product when the student passes and he or she gets some employment. Okay, so whether that product is employable or not. So that is a $1 billion question one has to understand. So what we can do, we cannot change the input because that is not in our hand. Okay, we have issues and so on. I'll not touch upon all those aspects, but how we can make changes in the curriculum, okay, so that the students are employable. That is the ultimate mantra as far as the you can say the education system is concerned. Uh, Having said this, let us try to take this basic teaching model in a greater detail. So as I said, that is there are four building blocks. The very first building block is the instructional objective. Okay. Now, if you remember my slide number 1, it is nothing but the instructional objectives. So I have set certain objective as far as this session is concerned, wherein we will explore Bloom's taxonomy in greater detail. And then in the second session, I have jotted down certain n number of things, maybe around 7, 8 odd points were there. So on the similar line, let's say for a particular student, you need to set certain instructional objectives in the beginning. Then what is it? Second block is entering behavior. Then you have the instructional procedure. And then at the end, you have the performance assessment. So what is entering behavior? The status of the student before joining the course. Okay. And that's why what happens when you undertake any training in some corporate environment, what do? They go for a zero at that test. And the moment you enter, the very first day, just after your breakfast, they will hand over you a sheet of paper and they will ask you to attempt that test. Okay. And then at the end, that is once you have undergone maybe 5 or 8 days training program, and then at the end, the again performance assessment is there. So why this zero eight test is there? Because that indicates your entering behavior. What was your level of knowledge before joining that course? And then after the instructional procedure, how much knowledge you have acquired. That is earlier, let's say, if you are able to score 10 out of 100, then after the instructional procedure, let's say if you can make it 8 out of, or say 80 out of 100. So this is how the calculation takes place and so on. The same thing is applicable to our general system as well. But there is a Chinese proverb. Okay. So 1,000 teacher, 1,000 methods. Okay. There is no single method. That is, I cannot ask anybody, you take this particular chit and you adopt this particular method, apply it to any classroom, and you will be a successful teacher. There's nothing like that. So you have your own ways of dealing with the student. I have my own ways of dealing with the student, and everybody is correct. I'm not saying that whether you are correct or somebody else is correct. Everybody is correct. What is the ultimate aim? Ultimate aim is how best to teach, right? So having said this, these is four basic model. We will not go into the details of all these things, okay? But we will have a cursory look. Instructional objectives, as I have told you, that these are those the student should attend upon completion of a segment of instruction. Okay, entering behavior, it describes the student's level before the instruction begins. Okay, that is before the instruction begins. These are this was the behavior of the student. Then what has happened? You will undertake that student, he or she, to some instructional procedure. Describe the teaching process. Now here that the teaching will come into existence, and then at the end, what do? We go for the performance assessment. So we'll just touch upon all these aspects in a greater detail, and particularly we will explore that is how you can make ICT, how you can make use of ICT for performance assessment. That is what I have planned as far as today's session is concerned. But before going into all those aspects, we need to understand as a teacher, what are the factors affecting learning? Okay, so that has been categorized into two categories. One is the personal factor, and the second is the environmental factors. So, what are personal factors? I'll not again I'll just read it out because they are all self-explanatory. Maybe sensation and perception, fatigue and boredom, maybe age and maturation. Let's say I'm running 56 or 57. Okay, and if I want to learn how to drive a car, okay, it will be a bit difficult for me. But when I was 20 and I wanted to learn how to drive a car, because that age plays a vital role. I'm not saying that it is impossible. It is possible, but it will require a little bit more time. Emotional condition, needs, interest, motivation, intelligence. Now, the rest of the two things are again very important. That is the aptitude and the attitude. Okay. So most of the time we give undue importance to the knowledge and other aspects, but attitude and aptitude is once again very important. Okay. When it comes to employability and so on. Right. तो ये चीजें अपन थोड़ा सा समझेंगे. Environmental factors, maybe you can say the surroundings, relationship with teachers, media influence learning. These are some environmental factors which again influence the learning. Okay, which again influence the learning. Now, having said this, what are the modes of learning? Okay. So as a matter of fact, many times, as I said, being a teacher, we feel that we are the only source of information in the world, right? So that is again a myth. We need to come out of this mental block. तो ये एक बहुत बड़ा यानी mental block ही कहूँगा मैं इसे. तो teachers को लगता है कि they are the only source of information, but those things are absolutely wrong. Okay, particularly in today's scenario. Earlier it was a little bit correct. Okay, but now things have changed drastically. So the edtech landscape is going through a transformative phase. जो मैं कहना चाहूंगा कि यहाँ पे ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन कैसे हो रहा है, एआई की वजह से हो रहा है या और भी टेक्नोलॉजिकल डेवलपमेंट की वजह से हो रहा है. So that we need to understand as a teacher, and that's why we need to upskill and reskill ourselves. Okay, so upskilling and reskilling is that's why it is important. So there are four modes of learning. One is by observation, second is by imitation, third one is by trial and error. That is whatever the students do in their classroom is different, but whatever they do in their laboratory session is nothing but the trial and error. Learning by insight, which makes you critical thinker. Okay, that is the peak of you can say any education system. So if you can learn again by insight. Okay, and that has to be the objective of any edtech system, right? In general, what is the transfer of learning? Okay, as I was saying, that is, there are, as a matter of fact, three types of transfer of learning. Being a teacher, all of us, we want ourselves to be in the first quadrant, that is positive transfer. Okay, positive transfer. That is the ultimate aim of a teacher. Okay, whatever you teach, you feel that it should be transformed to the student in the right manner, in a positive manner. But there are two more possibilities. The second one is negative, and the third one is the zero. So what is a positive transfer? It takes place when the learning of a particular task facilitates the learning of another task. Okay, that is mathematics 1, then M2, then the student will, that's why we have prerequisite and so on, right? Prerequisite courses and so on. If learning of a particular task interferes with the learning of the subsequent task, this is the possibility. I am not saying that it happens, but this is possible, what I intend to say. If the learning of a transfer task makes no difference, it is said to be zero transfer. So negative and zero is again there. Okay, because let's say if the student is not in a mood to listen, okay, it may happen that there is no learning takes place. Zero transfer possibility is there that one has to accept as a teacher. Okay, how to move from this you can say zero to positive. Okay, that should be the objective of the entire education system. Okay, then there are laws of learning. So law of readiness is there. They are all self-explanatory. I'll not go into the details. Whether the students are ready to learn, okay, then and then you should impart. Okay, otherwise it should not. It happens many times when you enter into the class. The students say, "Sir, we don't want any class today." Okay, so you have to listen to them, right? Because they are in some different mood. They want to enjoy something like that. So law of practice, repetitive practice, and law of effect. Okay, Okay, so these are you can say the various law of learning. Okay, now having said this, what is learning? Again, we are moving back to what we have seen in the earlier slides. It is a permanent change in behavior resulting from reinforced practice. So if one is really learning, one's behavior become more effective and more adaptive. We are all human beings, right? Our behavior changes with respect to time. So we are very adaptive in nature by default, by nature, I am saying, right? So, and let's say if you are learning something, if you are learning that is how to behave in the changing scenarios, okay, you can claim that the learning is taking place in that case, right? So, learning is the permanent change in behavior, right? Permanent change in behavior resulting from reinforced practice, that is doing it again and again. Now, there are three domains of learning. Now, we'll be exploring, you can say, the most important aspect of today's deliberation is the Bloom's taxonomy, right? So, there are three domains of learning. The very first domain is the cognitive domain. I think I have earlier also touched upon this aspect. So, what is cognitive domain? Wherein we talk about the knowledge and the intellectual skills. Okay. Second is the affective domain, feeling, emotions, and attitude. And the third one is the psychomotor, that is utilizing motor skills and the ability to coordinate them. That is what we used to call it as that learning by doing and experiential learning and whatnot, right? So cognitive, if you look at our education system, okay, we give undue importance to the cognitive domain. That is, if you go through any university's question paper, you will find them that they only check the knowledge and the intellectual skills of the student, right? We are most of the time, now again I'm making a bold statement, I'm not saying there are some autonomous institutions which are working to incorporate affective and the psychomotor, okay, but all of you as a teacher, you will agree that when it comes to particularly to the assessment, okay, we give around 90 to 95% weightage to the cognitive aspects. So emotions and attitudes. But why I'm saying emotions and attitudes or the affective domain is equally important, because let's say if you ask the corporate people, okay, and when they conduct tests and so on, तो प्लेसमेंट में आप जब उनसे पूछेंगे कि भाई देर आर अराउंड 1,000 students, whereas you have selected only 10, so they will come up with numerous answers. Okay. Particularly, if you look at the autonomous institution, everybody is passing in flying colors. Nobody is having below 9.0 pointers. Okay. Ideally, it should not be like this, right? There has to be a bell-shaped curve, what they call it as the normal distribution. But unfortunately, what is happening? Unfortunately, I'm not saying that all the institutions are of this sort, but we are giving degrees. Okay. So if you ask them, this student is having a 9.5 or 9.0 pointer, but you have not selected him or her, then they will come up. Oh, if you dig them, okay, they will come up with the answer, okay, sir, this student is maybe good when it comes to theoretical aspects, right? The theoretical knowledge, but he or she is not a good fit as far as our company culture is concerned. What is company culture? He or she may not be good when it comes to working in a team, or he or she may not be good when it comes to communication with the customer, and so on and so forth. Right? So that's why I'm saying okay, affective domain is equally important. And look at the psychomotor domain. That is, practicals are there. You may say, okay, sir, our education system has got practicals, right? Practical aspects are there. But how do we rather conduct the practical examination? Okay, I will not talk much on those aspects, but we are well aware. We are well aware that most of the time the student they remain present, physical presence, and we give them 23, 22, 25 out of 25. Okay, so there is hardly a difference of 1 or 2 marks. Okay, so even though it is there in our education system, most of the time we take it very casually. So ideally, what I intend to say is that is we have to have a system wherein we must give equal weightage to all these three domains of learning, maybe 34% to cognitive, 33% to affective, and 33% to the psychomotor, right? So I will elaborate this on in the slides to come, but this is a typical, you can say, the teaching learning process wherein, as I said, in the on the top you have teaching, and the bottom you have learning. Okay, and in between you have all these three boxes, whatever we have talked earlier, that is cognitive by knowing, affective, feeling, psychomotor is by doing. So understanding, problem solving, deriving a formula and application. Now, if you look at the affective domain, values, attitudes, interest, and discipline. And the psychomotor, practical skill, driving, assembling, painting, and so on. Right. So, having said this, this is a typical, you can say, the teaching learning process, wherein you have teaching at the bottom, at the top, and the learning is the product of teaching, right? So whenever we teach, we expect that the learning is happening for this, right? So, but it should happen in the real perspective. What I intend to say is, if you look at our education system in general, okay, we have around 95% of the questions based on only the cognitive aspects, that is knowing. We check the students' knowledge. We work at the lowest level, right? Now, how to incorporate this values, attitude, okay, that is what is happening as a matter of fact with the help of this NEP 2020. NEP 2020 talks about holistic development of student, overall development of student, wherein, and that's why we have courses for all these, you can say, the domains, that is affective domain and the psychomotor, right? So this slide will give you once again a glimpse of what is, you can say, the cognitive domain, K, psychomotor domain, and the affective domain, A, and the attitude, and so on. Now, if you dig this in a little bit greater detail, okay, you will find that this is basically the brainchild, whatever domains I have talked about. This is the brainchild of one of the, you can say, the renowned educationist, Dr. Benjamin Bloom. Okay, and he has given this particular, you can say, the theory of education, or the instructional theory, okay, which is popularly known as the Bloom's taxonomy. Okay, and this he has proposed way back in 1956. So it is being adopted by almost worldwide. It is accepted that this is the only theory, okay, instructional theory, wherein he has categorized levels of learning. Now, earlier we were talking about learning, but he has come up wherein he has conducted some, I should say, the study, because he was a educational psychologist, and as a matter of fact, he was working in a group, okay, a team, or rather the committee structure, whatever we have in our university as well. Okay, so that committee was responsible for coming out with certain suggestion with regard to, you can say, the instructional theory, and they have come up with such a landmark document which has, you can say, revolutionized the education sector. So it is Bloom's taxonomy is basically a tool for instructor to assist with writing learning outcomes. That is, if you remember my slide number 1, to curriculum mapping. That is, if you go for the second block, content delivery, that is how to teach, as well as the last block is the assessment of learning levels. So it touches upon all the aspects of a basic teaching model, what I mean to say, right? So Bloom's taxonomy, what he did, he has come up with, you can say, it is also called as the taxonomy of learning objectives, right? So whatever study they have carried out, they have observed that 95% of the test questions, okay, and that's why whenever a NAC or an NBA committee visit your institution, they ask you to produce your question papers. What's the reason? The reason is pretty simple, okay, because they wanted to know at which level you are working, at which level of Bloom's you are working. Okay, so they go through your paper and then they come up with a comment. Well, this is okay, but I think you are working at level 3 only, whereas there are 3 more. So you are somewhere in between, right? Most of us. So it is what is it? It is basically a hierarchical structure, okay, which has been proposed by Dr. Benjamin Bloom, which is popularly known as Bloom's taxonomy, wherein he has categorized these levels of learning into 6 various categories. What are those 6 categories? The lowest level is the knowledge. Okay, then see, now if you look at the earlier slide, I said it is hierarchical. Hierarchical meaning thereby the output of one level is the input to the next one, right? Say, for example, knowledge, then comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. So evaluation at the top. Okay. So how you can transform an ordinary student to a critical thinker, that is the objective, right? That is the objective. Now, if you look at the question papers, as I said, that is most of the time we work at 1, 2, or at max 3 level. Okay, 4, 5, 6 are missing in our education system. We can have a lot of discussion on this, but this is a very generic observation, and this was not valid to our country as well. This was these are the observation which Dr. Benjamin Bloom, when he has conducted that study in 1956 in US, okay, that was again their finding. That is, this is how it is, okay, and it needs changes. So they have come up with this taxonomy, which is popularly known as Bloom's taxonomy, right? So what are the Bloom's level? Actually, as a matter of fact, there are certain action verbs. Okay, now if you look at the question paper, normally we most of the time we have questions like define, explain, and so on. So meaning thereby you are working at the lowest level, okay, lowest level of action verb, which is intended for memorizing, just checking the knowledge of the student, right? Not more than that, right? But as a matter of fact, there are other dimensions of assessment as well. Okay, so this slide will give you an insight, okay, wherein you have skills on the left hand side, then you have definition in the middle column, and the right hand side indicates certain keywords. So being a paper setter, we need to make use of these keywords. Now, if you critically look at the skills, that is knowledge, comprehension, and application, we restrict ourselves. I'm making once again, I'm making a lot of bold statement. You excuse me for that, but we can have discussion on those aspects. लेकिन मुझे ऐसा लगता है personally कि most of us we do not go beyond application level. That is analysis, synthesis, and evaluations are missing, particularly in science and technology. This is my general observation, right? How to achieve it? That is again, what is the solution? That is again, we will just try to have a look at. Okay, so using Bloom's action verbs to write learning outcomes. Now, how you can use Bloom? So Bloom can be used for anything, as I have told you. That is, can be used for slide number 1 to the curriculum mapping to the assessment and measurement. So it touches upon almost, you can use Bloom's level to structure course content. That is curriculum mapping, mapping of COs, POs, and so on. Okay, and then assessment. Okay, then assessment. And that's why most of the time we used to call it as a reverse engineering kind of thing. That is, we start from the going through your question papers and then trying to understand whether at which level of Bloom you are working, right? So Bloom can be used for, you can say, for everything in a teaching learning system, right? In a education setup, what I intend to say, right? So analyze, evaluate, and create, again, they are missing. We do not have questions like wherein we ask the student to formulate, build, or create something new, okay, or derive a formula, maybe modify it, develop. Okay, some existing system is there, and you just propose your modification. In what way you can make changes so that the things goes in the right direction, and so on. Now, as I said, that is using Blooms for writing the program outcomes. So what are program outcomes? Basically, there are certain common POs for all UG programs. This exercise, I hope you must have gone through. Those who are involved in, you can say, the board of studies, or maybe if you are not directly involved, but in your institution, if certain subjects have been assigned to your institution, you must have conducted some brainstorming, and then you must have come up with certain POs, COs, and mapping, and so on. So POs for program may vary in accordance with the program and the faculty. Okay, POs based on the graduate attributes. I was talking about why our students are not employable, because we do not set proper graduate attributes. Okay, so if your graduate attributes are not set appropriately, there is every possibility that your students are not employable, right? So what are graduate attributes? These are some of the areas which you need to take care of while writing the or jotting down the graduate attributes. Maybe communication skill, as I was talking about, critical thinking, problem solving, disciplinary knowledge is equally important, analytical reasoning, research related skills, maybe cooperation and teamwork. Okay, so that's why I said it is not necessary to have all, but these are some of the indicative list. It is not complete, I should say. Again, you may have more than this, okay, based on your own requirement. So scientific reasoning, maybe reflective thinking, self-directed learning, how you can transform these students. And that's why what is happening in NEP 2020 is we are having some certain courses wherein we want to transform them into a self-directed learner. Okay, that's why there are certain courses which are being offered through MOOCs and similar platforms. Okay, multicultural competence, moral and ethical awareness reasoning. Again, this was we were ignorant. In general, I am saying, right? Leadership readiness qualities. Now, if you look at NEP 2020, it talks about all these aspects. Lifelong learning. That is how you can transform an ordinary student to a lifelong learner. Okay, so age is not the limit, or age is not the hurdle in any education system, right? So how you can transform them into a lifelong learner? If you achieve, if you jot down out of maybe this 10 or 20 odd, maybe 5 or 10 based on your requirement, and accordingly you plan the COs, POs, and then just try to map those COs, POs into the graduate attributes or GAs, okay, you will be successful in your purpose. Okay, there are certain sample POs which I have jotted down here. Okay, usually it is said that not more than 7 POs. Okay, now once again, if you look at the writing down the POs, most of the time we do not go beyond level number 3. Okay, effective communication. Okay, these are some of the areas. Maybe environment and sustainability. Maybe self-directed and lifelong learning and so on. So certain POs I have designed for computer science and engineering, which I will not go into the detail, but the idea to put here is that is Bloom's taxonomy can be used for all these purposes, right? COs, POs, maybe characteristics of COs, maybe course learning, okay? Outcome courses, maybe you can say the minimum 5 or 6 COs. Again, there is no thumb rule, that is you have to have minimum 5 or maximum 6. It all depends upon your need, okay? But there are certain peculiar characteristics that these course outcome must possess. They must be specific, measurable, and achievable. So it must be quantifiable. Measurable meaning thereby quantifiable. You should have some mechanism to measure it, and it should be achievable. Many times we become, what should I say, more enthusiastic about setting of COs and POs. Okay, 10 or 20 COs. Okay, so but you have a limited time frame. Okay, you don't have 10 years to achieve all those. Okay, you have a short span of 3 to 4 years. So how to achieve? So it must be achievable. If it is not, if you are too ambitious, okay, many times you write certain things which are not at all achievable. So don't do that. Okay, think practically, think, I should say, in a very scientific manner. So, what are the typical characteristics that the COs must possess? They must be achievable, measurable, and they must be specific, maybe one per unit and so on. Okay, then you can apply those concepts. Okay, sample COs, POs for UG courses. Again, you can go ahead with that. Now, this is a typical scenario wherein how much weightage you must give to various levels of blooms. So remember, okay, typically it should not be used. Typically, I am saying, okay, again, there are no hard and fast rule or hard coded rule that you should not use it for writing DCOs because it is at the lowest. Okay, but understand one or two you can have. Maybe apply 30 to 40%, analyze 10%, maybe evaluate 10%, and create 30 to 40%. This is a general distribution, but not necessary to follow it as it is. It varies from your own requirement. Okay, whenever you are designing some COs and POs. Okay, so how you can use Bloom's taxonomy, which we have seen, for designing the course content. Again, you can use it for that purpose. Okay, course content, how to map. Again, for each unit, you may write this the CO, PO for that particular unit, and you need to map it to the respective GAs and so on, right? So, having said this, that is, you can use Bloom's taxonomy for writing COs, POs, GAs, and so on. Okay. At the same time, you can use it for assessment. You can use it for, you can say, curriculum design. So there are ways and means to use Bloom's taxonomy. But what has happened over a period of time? One of his student, that is Professor Benjamin Bloom's student, Lauren Anderson, he has proposed certain changes in the existing Bloom's taxonomy, and that is popularly known as the revised Bloom's taxonomy. तो इन्होंने क्या किया, he has come up with two small changes. The very first change he proposed is changing the names in the sixth category from noun to verb. Okay, earlier we were using knowledge. Okay, so that knowledge is to be transformed into the respective verb, and that is very again promising change he has made. Second is he has altered the fifth and sixth position. So evaluate and create. So he proposed that creativity should be at the top, and which is very obvious and very logical. So accordingly, there is one more taxonomy which has been proposed by Lauren Anderson. Okay, and this taxonomy is popularly known as the revised Bloom's taxonomy, and it is worldwide accepted. Okay, so what is it? Instead of knowledge, you have remember. Okay, then application, you have apply, analysis, you have analyze, evaluate, and create. These are the two things which has been interchanged. That is level number fifth and level number sixth, and that is the revised Bloom's taxonomy, which is popularly adopted by all the educational institutions worldwide. Right now, once again, let's say if you are working at I'm sorry for the break in between, but let's say even if you are working at the knowledge level, which is probably the lowest level, again, there are four dimensions of the knowledge. So being a paper setter or evaluator, we need to understand what are the four knowledge dimensions. The lowest level is the factual knowledge. Now, once again, if you look at most of the time, we work at the lowest level, that is the factual knowledge. But apart from that, you have conceptual knowledge. What is it? It is the interrelationship among the basic elements. Then you have procedural knowledge, that is how to do something, method of inquiry, and so on, using skills, algorithm, techniques, and methods. Okay. Metacognitive, which is the highest level, wherein knowledge of cognition in general as well as awareness of one's knowledge of own cognition is important. So how we can, even if, let's say, even if you are setting some questions on the knowledge dimension, how you can move yourself from the factual knowledge to the metacognitive knowledge. That is again the $1 billion question, which as a assessor you need to address. Okay. Having said this, this is all about, you can say, the very first component, rather the very primary component of Bloom's taxonomy, which is the cognitive domain. There are two more domains which I have talked about. The second one is the affective domain. We'll not go into the details, but we will have a cursory look at what Krothol talks about the affective domain. So again, he has proposed, this is again a part of Bloom's taxonomy, as a matter of fact. Kruthul was part and parcel of, and they have come up with this affective domain taxonomy in 1964. So that was in 1956, 8 years down the line. Kruthul has come up with this affective domain, which is again the part of the same group, the Bloom's group, right? So wherein they have categorized, once again, receiving, responding, valuing, organizing, and characterization. Okay, these are the 5 levels of Prothol's affective domain. You can say the affective domain. They are all self-explanatory. I will not go into the details. Receiving means the student willingness to attend. Okay, responding means to active participation. How much the student is involved in your theory session or practical session, how much he is interacting with you. So responding. Valuing worth or value a student attaches to a particular object. So it varies from student to student, right? One student will give X value, the another one will give Y, and somebody else will give Z, and so on. Then organization, right? Bringing together different values, resolving the conflicts, and so on. So these are various aspects of affective domain. Now, this is really important when it comes to employment, right? Because your attitude, as a matter of fact, you are talking about the psychology of a human being, right? So this is, as a matter of fact, how reflective you are, how talkative you are. Let's say you want to enter into a salesperson's or a marketing job, okay, and if you are not at all able to talk, who will give you the employment, right? So you have to have, now let's say for uh, again, you have ways and means to resolve all those issues, but we'll not go into this affective domain. What I intend to say is again equally important. So some way or the other, we have to take into account these aspects. Okay. Now, having said that, the third one, I will not go into the detail because that is a part and parcel of our education system. What is it? It is the psychomotor domain. So psychomotor domain is there in the practical aspects. Now, these aspects are in NEP 2020. Now it is being introduced in, you can say, the conventional courses as well, wherein, let's say, if you are person from arts and humanities, again, the internship has been made mandatory over there. Why it is so? Because they wanted to incorporate some practical aspects. So practical is everywhere. Okay, many times again we feel that for arts and humanities only theory is enough. Okay, let's say you are learning Marathi. Okay, and after getting the bachelor's or the master's degree, you have been appointed as a reporter in some newspaper agency. Okay, so you don't know how to write then, let's say, and then what will happen? So that's why I'm saying, so these things, now what has happened, you will be placed for internship, compulsory internship, okay, before getting the degrees. Now the NEP 2020 has made it compulsory. Okay, so science and technology, it was there earlier as well, but in other discipline, now it has been made mandatory. Okay, so having said this, and you know how the practical exams are being conducted, I will not comment on that, but we need to have a reforms in these areas as well. Right, now let us come to our, you can say, the most important aspects of Bloom's taxonomy. And what is it? It is basically the assessment. It is basically the assessment component. So assessment, and if you are setting multiple choice questions, so meaning thereby you are working at the lowest level, that is the remember level. If you are talking about summarize an article, you are working at understand. Okay, Bloom's level 2. Okay. If you are writing questions wherein you are asking the student to analyze a case study, okay, just typically in MBA programs and so on. So you are working at Bloom's level 4. And if you are asking the student to create a spreadsheet for a particular financial year for income tax calculation, meaning thereby you are working at level number 6. Now, how we can incorporate all these things, that is how we can transform ourselves from level number 1 to level number 6. That is basically the philosophy of Bloom's taxonomy, right? Now you may, we will definitely, I will take up questions on these aspects, okay, later on in the discussions. You may come up with your own views with regard to that. But being a paper setter, normally that should be the philosophy. That should be the philosophy. But before moving ahead to the tools and all, we need to understand what are the problems our education system, higher or technical education system, is facing in our country. Okay. Now, if you look at the you can say the assessment uh, system in our country, we give undue focus on certification. Okay, I will share one small story on a lighter note. Okay, when I applied way back in 1991, probably, or 92, for the post of lecturer in computer science. Okay, one of my colleague, again, he was from electronics. So we both of us, we applied. I applied for computer science. My other fellow, he has applied for electronics. Electronics, and the nomenclature of the post was lecturer in electronics and telecommunication, whereas the person's degree was electronics and communication. That is the one of my colleague who has applied. His degree nomenclature was BE BTech in electronics and communication, whereas the post which was advertised was lecturer in electronics and telecommunication. So he was merely rejected just because of the reason that the tele in his degree was missing. See, so we have such hard lines, right? We are very hardliner when it comes to, so we have compartment, what I intend to say. Okay, and that's why I'm saying we give undue focus on certification. Okay, we read it comma and full stop, and we are stuck up in those things. Now the changes are happening. This is the story I'm talking about way back in maybe 32 years down the line. But what has happened over a period of time? Things are changing. Now they are coming up a lot of, you can say, changes. Even if you look at the you can say the qualification criteria for becoming a vice chancellor. Okay, it is now open. Earlier, there were restrictions that you have to have a 10 years of professor's experience and blah, 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 right? Maybe 10 SCI index paper and such a research profile and whatnot. But that has been made, now that is being waived off, right? So we are moving in the right direction. I will not comment on that. You may have your own views with regard to that, but things are improving. Lack of qualitative feedback, 360-degree feedback, lack of assessment of high-level outcomes. High-level outcomes meaning that I am referring to Bloom's taxonomy. So we are stuck up in 1, 2, 3. Okay, 4, 5, 6 is still missing. Okay, negligible assessment in the psychomotor domain. Why I'm saying negligible assessment in the psychomotor domain and the affective domain? Because we do not have courses for that. Affective domain, what is there? Okay, this NEP 2020, now it has made mandatory. That's why we are working on that. So work-based learning is used for assessing theory. Okay, liberal marking, those who are autonomous, with due respect, right? Autonomous institutions are exploiting it in a worst kind of scenario, I tell you, right? They are giving degrees wherein everybody is passing with a 9.0 or the higher pointer, and when it comes to employment, they are not employable. So let's say if you are liberal in marking, in my opinion, you are one of the biggest enemy of your student, right? So what you are doing, you are simply throwing your headache to the outside world, okay, and let it happen, whatever. Let the industry decide what is to be done to that particular product. Okay, lack of assessment culture and language of assessment. This is again a very important bottleneck, which is basically addressed by NEP 2020. So what they have done now, they have come up with a 3 language formula. You must have somebody must have talked on that, है ना? तो पहले ये था कि भाई English is a foreign language for us, because if you look at even those who have studied earlier, even English medium schools were not there. I did my schooling in Urdu, right? So required for the development of now it is possible over a period of time. It may happen. We have issues, okay, but the solutions are once again there. Okay, it may be possible that in the years to come, the student will be allowed to write their answers in Hindi or Marathi. What is wrong in that? Okay, so let us accept it. Okay, let us accept it. So we are marching ahead in the right direction. Okay, so language is not a barrier. Okay, language is not at all a barrier. Okay, if you want to learn, if you want to acquire knowledge, that should not be the barrier, and that's why NEP 2020 is proposing a lot of changes in this regard as well. Okay, now having said this, we will move to, you can say, various assessment tools and so on, and ICT tools for various purposes. So before moving ahead to those things, only 2 topics I would like to cover. One is the what is assessment and what is valuation. Many times we use these terms interchangeably, but there is a thin demarcation line between these two. Assessment is basically an ongoing process, okay, aimed at understanding and improving the student learning. Okay, so it is many times, that's why we put continuous assessment. We call it as continuous assessment. The reason is pretty simple, because you have CT1 after first unit, CT2 after second unit, and so on and so forth, right? So it is continuous in nature. After every regular gap, you conduct some assessment. But evaluation basically takes place once your student passed and he or she joins the industry. So it is a judgment or determination of the quality of performance or a product or use of a process against a standard. So there he will be evaluated. When he or she joins some industry, he will be evaluated against certain performance metrics, and then accordingly it will be decided, okay, whether the product of Shivaji Science College is like this or the product of XYZ College is like this. They have, so that is only the, you can say, the changing dimension in the evaluation process, right? Now I hope there are around 20 to 30% participants, lady participants are there. Okay, they will appreciate this statement. That is, again, let's say if you want to assess, which type of assessment you have to use. So before moving ahead with the assessment in a greater detail, we need to understand that cooking is easy, but washing the utensil is difficult. Similarly, delivering or lecturing is easy, but conducting the assessment is difficult. Rather, it is most difficult, I tell you. If you want to set question paper, it is not a matter of 15 to 20 minutes. That is, what do? We gather 2, 3 years paper and prepare a good khichdi of it, and then submit it for the evaluation purpose, right? So that is absolutely wrong. If you want to set a paper, quality question paper, it requires a lot of effort and energy. That is essentially needed, because you need to map all those COs, POs, to the GAs. So that much thinking process has to be there when it comes to assessment. If you are not doing so, meaning thereby you are failing in your duties, right? So having said this, what is tea? I have promised you that I will offer you tea in between, right? So here the tea is coming up for you. It is basically technology enabled assessment. So how you can make use of technology for assessment purpose is will be rather this particular aspect will be dealt with in a greater detail in probably the next session, right? So there are thousands of tools. Okay, some of them you must be using it. Okay, but I will expose you to a number of tools for assessment as well as teaching, for as well as once again for some cognitive aspects, some psychomotor aspect, and so on. Okay, so which type of test? Typically, it is again a myth. Earlier, it was true, but now it is not at all true. That is, all these tools they are suitable for objective testing, wherein you can set only MCQ sort of question. But I will demonstrate. That is, you can have various possibilities here. Yes, yes, yes. कुछ बोलना चाहेंगे सर आप? Or you want to have a break for 5-10 minutes? I can stop, but allow me for 5 minutes. Okay, we may take a break for 5 to 10 minutes, and again we will continue if required. Or otherwise, I can continue. Right. So it is as I said. Yes, there are 86 odd participants are there. Really happy to see such a big number. Okay, and you are listening patiently. Thank you very much. Okay, so most of the time we feel that this technology enabled assessment tools, they are good for objective type of testing, but those things are at present even they can be used for subjective assessment. Okay, that is, you may have questions of sort like say short answer type questions which can very well embedded into any. Yes sir. Yes sir. अच्छा, ठीक है. So sorry sir, again I request you, please do not discuss amongst yourself. If you have any problem, you can directly address me. We can resolve it. Mind well, this meeting is being recorded. You must be aware. Okay. So diagnostic assessment hota hai. In summative assessment is there, wherein in case of diagnostic assessment, basically the idea is to understand exactly where the learner stand. Right. That is what is his or her position. Okay. What kind of problem he or she is facing. Okay. Summative is typically carried out at the end and so on. There is I request all the participants to mute themselves. I will definitely take up your questions at the end of the session. Okay. So integrative assessment is there, wherein we make use of various tools for. Hello, sir. I don't know who is speaking, but I request you to mute yourself. Okay. Anyway. So there are various tools for various purposes. For example, for diagnostic assessment, some of you must be using Google Forms, maybe hot potatoes, flickers, and so on. Okay, formative assessment, classic hot potatoes is there, answer garden is there. Okay, so we'll just try to have a, you can say, live demonstration of some of these tools in a live manner. Okay, in the probably the next session. Then for feedback gathering, again you may use classic, okay, or Flipgrid, or maybe e-portfolio and so on. Project work, laboratory, Rubister, e-portfolios there, and collaborative learning, Flipgrid, Geoparty Lab, and portfolios there. Right. So having said this, before deciding that is which particular tool is the best tool for technology enabled assessment, you need to know this SAMR model. Hello. Sir, I request you to mute yourself. Please don't discuss. It's my humble request. Sir.
बिजवे सर, बिजवे सर.
Bijwe sir, please.
धनंजय बिजवे सर, सगळ्यांना त्रास होत आहे तुमच्या मायक्रोफोनचा.
Okay, चलिए. ठीक है. So I think probably we were discussing the last, probably this is the last topic as far as the theoretical discussion is concerned. I will take up your question and then we'll move ahead. ठीक है, तो this SAMR model is the criteria which, rather it is a tool which you can apply to determine whether a particular tool is a standard tool or not. So there is each word of this SAMR stands for something or the other. The S stands for substitution, which indicates that whether the students can fill out the forms in an online mode. Okay, now we will apply this criteria to your Google form. Okay, so I hope this facility is there. So it satisfies criteria number one. Augmentations. Teachers can curate the students' responses and the spreadsheet automatically. Again, this facility is there. Third one is modification. Teachers and student can collaborate. Okay, analyze. Again, this facility is there in case of Google form. And redefinition. That is, teachers can reach the unlimited learners all around the world. So that feature is again there in Google form. So in short, you can conclude that Google form is a standard tool which satisfies the SAMR criteria, and you can very well adapt that for evaluation purposes, right? So having said this, in this similar line, you can identify whenever you are examining any particular tool, you can apply these four characters, rather four characteristics, SAMR, okay, and you can very well conclude that whether that tool is a standard tool or not. So if it is a standard tool, you can very well adapt it. Okay, so this is SAMR model is all about. So having said this, if you have seen my earlier slide wherein I was talking about various various types of tools. So you must have seen that this hot potatoes appears a number of times. So we'll just try to have a look at this hot potatoes in a greater detail. As a matter of fact, it is a bundle of tool. It is a mix, rather it is a combination of 5 odd utilities along with a masher. So masher is typically used for creating one unit out of the 5 unit whatever. So quiz you can use for creating the quiz. JClose you can use for creating the exercise, like say fill in the blanks. If you want to create a crossword puzzle, you can use JCross, JMatch, and so on. Okay, so we will just try to have a hands-on on all these tools. These are some of the screenshots, but I will show you in the you can say the live manner. That is how you can create all these exercises using this particular tool. Okay, even you can create a crossword, you can create a match the following exercise, and so on. Okay, now what are the two important key takeaways as far as this session is concerned? That is how we can, you need to understand first of all at which level, whenever it comes to assessment, तो आपको ये देखना होगा कि आप कौन से लेवल पे काम कर रहे हैं, whether you are working at level number 3 or level number 4. Now how you can move ahead, whether how you can go to level 5 and level 6. So make effort to function at the higher level after mastering the knowledge. So I'm not saying that knowledge is not at all important. Knowledge is the fundamental thing. Okay, you have to have appropriate knowledge, then and then you can apply it. Okay, so application is after knowledge. Okay, let's say if you do not have knowledge, how you will apply it? So having said this, if there are any questions as far as whatever I have covered in the first session, I'll be happy to take all those questions. Otherwise, what we will do, we will continue with the demonstration. So I request, if there are any questions, I request you to please unmute yourself. Okay. Dr. Vinay is saying very wonderful session and so on. Apart from wonderful session, but if there are any queries, I'll be happy to answer, or you can put it in the chat box if you are not comfortable.
Good evening, sir. Good evening.
Yes, sir. Very good evening.
Somewhere you mentioned, and so many times we happen to meet the bookish definition of learning as permanent change in behavior. But I find so many doubts about this definition because many courses are they deal with abstract concepts, maybe like philosophy and literature, where we do not expect learners' behavior change directly or we cannot measure them. One more point is that learner, according to Bloom, when he reaches that high level of critical thinking, might be in paradigm shift, and again there are so many principles or formulas who remain in flux. So how can we talk about permanency in that definition? And in view of above doubts, how do you find this bookish definition relevant, that learning as a permanent behavioral change?
Actually, sir, you are challenging the definition itself, if I am not wrong. Okay, but
Sorry, I just shared some
I
doubt.
got your I got your point, sir. No worries, no worries. So, being a teacher, okay, one has to be in that mode only. Okay, because this is what is happening. As a matter of fact, right now is you are thinking the basic, you can say, the principle of any education system in general. That is, whenever we say learning is happening, meaning thereby there is a permanent change in behavior which is taking place. But you don't agree with that, if I am not wrong. You know? So your perspective is that is as far as this is concerned, that is how to measure it. Okay, so how to measure it? There are ways and means, and that is why we conduct the examination. That is why the assessment mechanism is there. Okay. So if I have not wrongly understood you, that is, you intend to say that is whether it is quantifiable or not. Yes, it is very much quantifiable. You can very well understand. And that's why I'm saying, let's say right now you are appearing, I can see in the WhatsApp group, what is going on is you are appearing for the test. Okay. Quiz is there. Okay. So let's say if we conduct the same quiz on day 0, that is when you join this particular course, maybe on 8th of May or 9th of May, whatever was the date. Okay, so 0 at day test, and let's say the same test we repeat it as on today, which is the concluding day of your session, right, or the training. Okay, so what kind? Let's say you scored in the same test, you scored 20 out of 60. Okay, and when we are conducting your test at the end, if your score is 40 out of 80, then we can very well say that there is a delta change in your knowledge, right? So they are quantifiable. I don't think that there is any problem. But the problem is when it comes to the topic which you have touched upon, that is the human, I think, philosophy or psychology you was talking about. So maybe directly it will not be reflective, but it changes in the behavior, you can very well understand. So there are certain things which are not quantifiable. Okay, but there are certain things which you can very well quantify. As I said, that is, you will be having certain hands-on certain tools. So those tools you can very well utilize, and you can come up with your conclusion. Well, sir, this was the scenario at this point of time, and this is the scenario. So when your student joins in the first semester and after the completion of all the 8 semester, I am 100% sure that his behavior changes. His or her behavior changes in some way or the other. So some knowledge transformation, it is bound to happen. But there are certain, these are the challenges. Okay, whatever question you have raised, in my personal view, they are the challenges for our education system. How to uh, quantify it, how to measure it. Again, as I've told you, that is, there are ways and means, but things are debatable. Certain things are debatable. Psychology, I am not a man who is an expert in psychology. My domain is AI, computer science, and so on. So you can very well ask question with regard to that. But psychology, I'm sorry, I will not be in a position to answer your query in the real perspective. What you intend to ask? I hope I have answered your query.
Yes, sir. I was just focusing on the definition, and how about that expects students' behavioral change to be permanent, when we very well know that many formulas, many
Uh,
principles, they keep changing, they are always in flux.
Yeah,
And so
here I will
permanence.
agree with you. Here I will agree with you, particularly in today's scenario. There is nothing which you can claim that it is permanent. Okay, there is nothing, nothing you can claim. See, even if you look at the business model, what is happening due to this technological evolution? Earlier, if you look at the traditional business model, okay, there were only few, and there was a supply chain management and so on. Now the things are changing drastically, right? So changes are inevitable, and that's why we are studying this NEP 2020, right? So changes are bound to happen. Okay. Uh, and assessment is the mechanism to test somebody. Yeah, Vinay sir is saying to test the understanding of the topic as well. So at least all of you agree that is assessment can be used. Maybe there are problems, and problems I think I have already jotted down all those problems during my deliberations. the problems are really serious. And who is responsible for all these problems? We as a teacher. I belong to your community only. I am not somebody who is the foreigner, right? I am a teacher, hardcore teacher since 34, 35 odd years, right? So I have spent around 3.5 decades. So I very well understand that the problems are there. But what is the solution? So we do not intend to look at the problem as a problem. If you look at in that perspective, everything seems to be a problem for you, right? So you have to look at that is what is the solution? What is the solution? And you can very well arrive at some or the other solutions. Maybe I'll not be the right person as far as your subject domain is concerned. But once again, I personally feel that there are ways and means to quantify it. And as a matter of fact, your behavior changes. It is, there's no doubt about it, right? That is what my personal feeling is. Okay. And
Okay,
as
sir.
you
Thank
said,
you.
I agree with
Thank
your
you.
comment.
You very well explained the topic, and I loved the way you communicated it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank you. God bless you. Any other query? May I know who
Hello,
was
sir.
the? Oh, yes, ma'am. Please.
सर डॉक्टर मनीष यादव गाडगे महाराज महाविद्यालय मूर्तिजापूर. सर मॉडेल SEMR विषयी थोडंसं अजून जरा डिटेल मध्ये सांगितलं तर बरं होईल सर.
What has happened? There was some disturbance, madam.
हा
SAMR
येस
model.
सर. हा
S stands for substitution. A
हा
for augmentation. And
M for
M for modification. And R for. Can you remember any one of you? Let me try to recall R for. Yeah, I'll put the slide so that. Yeah. So it was proposed by Dr. Ruben. Okay. Substitution, augmentation, modification, and redefinition. So redefinition basically intends for teachers can reach unlimited learners. So it is an online model. As I said, whatever tools we will be discussing, they will be all online tools. You know? So this is there. That is the students, they not necessarily they should come to your classroom in a traditional assessment mechanism. What we have, we ask the student to enter into the classroom, then we give the answer sheet and the question paper. Instead of that, you are going in a tech-enabled manner, that is technology-enabled assessment. So students can access your test sitting at their home, okay, maybe. And so this facility is once again there in almost all the redefinition. Okay, teachers can reach unlimited learners all around the world. Okay, and can share the results with them. I'll demonstrate all these features, don't worry. Okay, whatever tools we will be discussing, I'll demonstrate to you all these SAMR criteria. Okay, I hope, madam, it is clear. I have
ओके
answered
सर.
your query. Yeah.
ओके सर.
जी. और कोई questions? I'm really happy as the director of MMTC that this is probably the last session, and looking at the enthusiasm and your presence, around 82 odd participants, really remarkable. Okay, really remarkable, and that shows your commitment to the education system in general. Okay, so shall I move ahead with the tools? Okay. Or there are few more questions. If there are any questions with regard to Bloom's taxonomy, I was expecting a lot of things. That is, there are 6 levels which I have narrated here. So many times I used to get this is one of the frequently asked question, FAQs we call it as in computer science. है ना, कोई भी website पे आप जाएंगे तो you will find that there is a section called FAQs. So this is one of the very important FAQ with regard to Bloom's taxonomy. What is it? Most of the teachers from other discipline, they feel that it is not necessary to go beyond 4th level. That is 5th and 6th level is not at all needed in some subjects. That is their perception. So what is your take on this issue? आपको क्या लगता है? आपको लगता है कि भाई पहले 4 ही काफी है और 5वां और 6वां नहीं होना चाहिए? Subject requirement I am saying. अब ये क्वेश्चन मैं आपसे पूछ रहा हूँ. Little bit different. Yeah. औरात सर बोलते हैं थैंक यू वेरी मच सर. अभी सेशन खत्म नहीं हुआ. वी आर स्टिल देयर. ओके, एंड यू हैव टू बियर विद मी फॉर अराउंड 90 odd minutes. Okay, so we'll continue for the next session. क्वेश्चंस अगर आपके कुछ हैं, और ये जो क्वेश्चन मैंने पूछा इस पे कोई somebody would like to comment on this? Okay.
सर
Let us,
प्रश्न रिपीट करा.
प्रश्न असा आहे मॅडम की लोकांचं असं म्हणणं असते की बा सर 1, 2, 3, 4 लेवल तर ठीक आहे, परंतु 5वा आणि 6वा दॅट इज क्रिटिकल थिंकिंग इन पर्टिकुलरली इट इज नॉट नीडेड. ये हर सब्जेक्ट की डिमांड नहीं हो सकती, ऐसा उनका कहना है. आपको लगता है कि ऐसा?
क्रिटिकल थिंकिंग पाहिजेच सर, कारण का कोणत्या ना
नाही,
कोणत्या.
त्यांचं काय कसं म्हणणं असते कि सर ते मे बी आपके कंप्यूटर साइंस में लगेगा बोलते हैं, या फिर आपके टेक्नोलॉजी के सब्जेक्ट में लगेगा, लेकिन हमारे जैसे आर्ट्स एंड ह्यूमैनिटीज है, जैसे अभी सर ने साइकोलॉजी की बात कही है ना, या फिलोसफी की बात करेंगे आप, तो वहां पे बोलते मेरे हिसाब से तो फिलोसफी में सबसे ज्यादा क्रिटिकल थिंकिंग तो फिलोसफी में लगेगी. ठीक है, तो व्हाट इज फिलोसफी एज मैटर ऑफ फैक्ट, है ना. सो इट रिक्वायर्स, सो दैट इज एसेंशियली नीडेड. लेकिन जब आप सीओस पीओस फ्रेम करते हैं तो लोगों को ऐसा लगता है कि नहीं सर 4 लेवल इज इनफ, 5वीं एंड छठी इज नॉट नॉट एट ऑल नीडेड. राइट, 5वीं तो नहीं, छठी जो क्रिटिकल थिंकिंग है, इस पे मेनी टाइम्स आई यूज्ड टू फेस क्वेश्चंस लाइक दिस कि सर ये छठा वाला तो नहीं होना चाहिए. वेयर एज इफ यू लुक एट, इफ यू रिमेंबर मैंने जो स्लाइड्स बताई आपको उसमें एक स्लाइड पे समवेयर आई थिंक आई हैव टच्ड अपॉन, दैट इज हाउ यू कैन ट्रांसफॉर्म एन ऑर्डिनरी स्टूडेंट इनटू अ क्रिटिकल थिंकर. देखिए ये सेशन भी जो लिया है अपन ने, मेरी कोशिश ये है कि आप इस पे सोचने पे मजबूर हो जाएं. अगर आप इसको सोचने लग गए, जैसा कि सर ने बड़ा अच्छा क्वेश्चन पूछा मुझे, आई वाज हैप्पी. द वेरी फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन व्हिच ही हैज आस्क्ड इज, he was critically thinking, he was challenging the definition, meaning thereby somewhere he feels that there is something wrong, right? Maybe I agree or not, or the rest of the word agree or not, that is a different perspective. लेकिन आप अगर सोच रहे हैं, if you are not a critical thinker, what is the use of that, how the things will evolve, है ना. इवोल्यूशन कैसे होगा अगर क्रिटिकल थिंकिंग ही मिसिंग है एजुकेशन सिस्टम से. एंड देखिए विद ड्यू रिस्पेक्ट, मैं थोड़ा सा फिर से एक बोल्ड स्टेटमेंट कर रहा हूँ. मैं बहुत बार आई वेरी वेल रियलाइज कि आई क्रॉस माय लिमिटेशंस और बाउंड्रीज, लेकिन ये बेस्ड ऑन एक्सपीरियंस है. तो अपने एजुकेशन सिस्टम में क्रिटिकल थिंकिंग है ही नहीं, मिसिंग है. अगर ऐसा मैंने बोल दिया तो आपको कैसा लगेगा?
सही
देखिए
है सर,
असेसमेंट
देखो
गलत है मैडम, थोड़ा सा बोलिए आपको क्या लगता है? हे सत्य आहे, हे आपल्याला एक्सेप्ट करायला पाहिजे.
खरं आहे सर.
हाँ खरा है. द अनफॉर्चुनेट पार्ट इज, देखिए अभी भी अपने यहाँ का जो एग्जामिनेशन सिस्टम में अपन प्रॉक्टर्ड एग्जाम की बात करते हैं. कोविड में भी अपन ने एग्जाम लिया ना, तो लोग बोलते थे कि प्रॉक्टर्ड एग्जाम होना, क्योंकि अपने यहाँ प्रॉब्लम क्या है कि अपनी इंटीग्रिटी पे क्वेश्चन मार्क है, चाहे वो टीचर हो या स्टूडेंट्स हो. ठीक है ना, बिकॉज वी मैनिपुलेट द थिंग्स. आई एम मेकिंग वंस अगेन विद ड्यू रिस्पेक्ट, आई एम नॉट सेइंग दैट वी आर ऑल मैनिपुलेटर्स, बट व्हाट आई एम ट्राइंग टू से इज दिस इज अ जनरल एटीट्यूड, है ना. अब अगर आप थोड़ा सा जिन्होंने भी आप में से या आपके बच्चे किसी के पढ़ रहे होंगे फॉरेन में, उनसे पूछें तो उनका एजुकेशन सिस्टम ऐसा नहीं है. वहां पे क्या है कि आपको एग्जामिनेशन जो है, एग्जामिनेशन क्यों नहीं है, बिल्कुल है, लेकिन मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम दे गिव यू असाइनमेंट एंड दे आस्क यू टू सबमिट विद इन मे बी 2 weeks or 4 weeks. Sufficient time is again given to you. ओके, अब आप रेफर करिए, अब आपके पास में जितने भी सोर्सेस है वो सब रेफर करिए, एंड यू राइट इन योर ओन वे, यू अटेम्प्ट दोस आंसर्स. ओके, सिटिंग maybe peacefully, maybe for 4 days, 5 days or for the entire duration, और उसके बाद उसको सबमिट करिए, उसका असेसमेंट होता है. अपने यहाँ तो कैसा है कि 9 बजे से पेपर शुरू होगा, 12 बजे दिया जाएगा, ठीक है, और 12 बजे घंटी बज जाएगी, 5 मिनट पहले और एक घंटी बजेगी, 10 मिनट बचे हैं, फिर अपन आंसर शीट और क्वेश्चन पेपर छीन लेते हैं बच्चों से. मैंने भी किया है, आप भी करते हैं, ठीक है. सो दिस इज हाउ इट वर्क्स, है ना. वेयर एज दिस एग्जामिनेशन सिस्टम इटसेल्फ इज हैविंग सर्टेन प्रॉब्लम्स. I hope that you will agree with me. What is wrong in going for open book examination? There is nothing wrong in that. If your difficulty level is so high कि जो बच्चे को रेडीमेड सॉल्यूशन उसने अगर 100 बुक भी ढूंढ ली तो ना मिले, लेकिन ये कब पॉसिबल है? जब आप अच्छा पेपर सेट करेंगे. दिस इज ओनली पॉसिबल, राइट. सो विद इन somebody is saying, I think mostly we are all work within. अच्छा. No, I am not, see, I am not criticizing anybody. I am including myself. Okay, so with due respect, this is what is the crust of the story. Fact तो यही है. पेपर्स आप कैसे सेट करते हैं, मैं कैसे करता हूँ, ये आपको भी पता है, मुझे भी पता है. So we need to
हा सर सिस्टमचा भाग आहे. आपल्याला ते समजावून घ्यावंच लागेल, मात्र दोन्ही बाजूने विचार करावाच लागेल ना, की
Yes,
जमेची
sir.
बाजू काय आहे आणि लिमिटेशन्स काय आहे. जसं आपण स्वॅप
Yes,
जसं
sir.
करतो तसंच
Yes.
आपल्याला क्रिटिकल थिंकिंग पण करावं लागेल ना. सारासार जर विचार करून निर्णय घ्यायचा असेल तर
Yes, sir.
त्याच्यातनं काय साध्य झालं आणि काय साध्य झालं नाही याचा विचार करावाच लागेल ना सर.
करावंच लागेल सर, करावंच लागेल. आज नाही तर उद्या करावंच लागेल सर. आता नाही केला मग तुम्ही युअर स्टुडंट्स विल नॉट बी एम्प्लॉयबल, राइट? सो यू हैव टू थिंक इट, व्हाट आई इंटेंड टू से. ठीक है ना? तो हैविंग सेड दिस, अब थोड़ा सा आगे बढ़ते हैं अपने. यस सर, बोलिए बोलिए.
सर ब्लूम टेक्सॉनॉमी एखाद्या उदाहरणासोबत जर तुम्ही सांगितली आम्हाला तर चांगलं होईल.
उदाहरणासोबत म्हणजे काय एक्झॅक्टली सर, काय सांगायचं
म्हणजे
तात्पर्य काय
नॉलेज
आहे?
पासून क्रिएट पर्यंत आपल्याला एखादं आपण नॉलेज दिलं तर क्रिएट काय झालं इथपर्यंत आपण जर नेलं एखादं उदाहरण दिलं तर ते मला सोपं आहे.
फॉर एग्जाम्पल सर, अगर आप क्वेश्चंस जो मैंने कीवर्ड्स आपको बताए, इफ यू रिमेंबर आई हैव शेयर्ड वन स्लाइड जहां पे मैंने आपको कीवर्ड्स बताए, तो दैट कीवर्ड इटसेल्फ इंडिकेट्स दैट यू आर वर्किंग एट विच लेवल. तो आप जब पेपर सेट करते हैं, तो लेट्स से इफ यू आर आस्किंग अ क्वेश्चन, अगर आप इस तरह का क्वेश्चन पूछ रहे हैं कि भाई मैं जैसे कंप्यूटर साइंस का हूँ या कोई मैनेजमेंट का बंदा है, तो जहाँ पे मैं बच्चों को एक केस स्टडी दे रहा हूँ, एक सिचुएशन दे रहा हूँ, और वो सिचुएशन में मैं उसको बोल रहा हूँ कि नाउ यू टेक द डिसीजन एंड जस्टिफाई योर डिसीजन. ठीक है, तो ये हो गया क्रिटिकल थिंकिंग सर. यहाँ पे कोई आंसर सही या गलत नहीं है. ठीक है, ऑप्शंस कुछ भी हो सकता है, बच्चे ने कुछ भी आंसर लिखा, लेकिन व्हाट काइंड ऑफ जस्टिफिकेशन ही इज गिविंग, दैट इज मोर इम्पोर्टेंट. एंड इफ यू एग्री टू दैट जस्टिफिकेशन, तो ये आंसर बुक में से नहीं मिलेगा आपको. ये बच्चे को सोचने पे मजबूर होना पड़ेगा कि भाई एक सिचुएशन दी गई है, जैसे टिपिकली आईएएस के एग्जामिनेशंस में होता है या और दूसरे एग्जामिनेशंस में होता है. जनरली दे गिव यू अ सिनेरियो and they ask you to what kind of decision you will take and what is the justification for that decision. तो ये लेवल पे अपने क्वेश्चंस रहते हैं क्या? अगर आप देखें क्वेश्चन पेपर में, तो अनफॉर्चुनेटली नहीं रहते हैं. अनफॉर्चुनेटली, आई एम नॉट सेइंग एक्सेप्शंस होंगे, कुछ लोग करते भी होंगे काम ये, लेकिन इन जनरल आई एम सेइंग दिस इज मिसिंग. तो इसको अपने को, मैं ये नहीं कहूंगा कि भाई सारे क्वेश्चन आप क्रिटिकल थिंकिंग पे डाल दें तो पता चला सारे बच्चे फेल हो गए. ऐसा भी होता है कई बार. ठीक है, सो दैट इज एक्सट्रीम सिनेरियो. ओके, तो एक्सट्रीमिज्म इज नॉट नीडेड. लेकिन अब आप क्या कर सकते हैं, आपके 6 क्वेश्चंस हैं फॉर एग्जांपल, तो 6 में से आप 5 क्वेश्चंस को अलग अलग लेवल पे लीजिए और छठा वाला जो क्वेश्चन है वो क्रिएटिविटी पे रखिए. अगर आपने ऐसा किया तो इसका फायदा क्या होगा? एक ऑर्डिनरी बच्चा तो पास हो जाएगा, लेकिन जो बच्चे को लगता है कि यार मेरे को मेरिटोरियस बंदा है जो, उसको भी वो क्रिटिकल थिंकिंग किए बगैर वो फ्लाइंग कलर्स में पास नहीं हो पाएगा. सो आइडियली मेरा एक जनरल प्रिंसिपल बता रहा हूँ कि भाई हमने क्या करना चाहिए, हमने एक बीच का पाथ, मॉडरेट पाथ अडॉप्ट करना चाहिए, जिसमें अपन पेपर्स जो सेट करें उसमें एक ऑर्डिनरी स्टूडेंट को पास होने में कोई डिफिकल्टी नहीं होनी चाहिए. 30-40 स्कोर करने हैं तो कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं होना चाहिए, लेकिन है ना 90 आउट ऑफ 90 और 100 आउट ऑफ 100 या 90 आउट ऑफ 100, इस तरह के मार्क्स आने में उसको बहुत स्ट्रगल करना. ये एक मैं एक जनरल बहुत ही ब्रॉड पिक्चर दे रहा हूँ जो सोल्यूशन के तौर पे आप अडॉप्ट कर सकते हो. ठीक है सर. और अब आपने जो ब्लूम्स, जी जी बोलिए सर.
ठीक है सर, थैंक यू.
जी.
One more doubt, sir. At the last
Yes.
stage of evaluation, when we are referring to critical thinking, do we also expect in that same region, do we also expect the concepts like innovation and invention, means adding to the lore of knowledge through research and experiments?
No,
Is
no,
it also
no, not
included
at all.
in that step of evaluation?
No, no, sir. If it is an undergraduate course, this is not ideally expected. But if it is a master's course, let's say if you are writing COs or POs for master's program, then in that case you may expect certain things. And for PhD you can expect innovation. But I don't think for UG the innovation component is needed. ठीक है ना? So it is not at all needed. In case of UG, I am saying specifically undergraduate course, right? 3 years.
I thought it because I read it somewhere that the highest end of higher education should be adding to the lore of knowledge and not to just reiterate the same principles.
Actually, sir, you are right in a sense. That is, as I said, the context will determine what kind of COs and POs and the level is to be decided from that. Okay, it should not be merely that everywhere. Let's say if it is an undergrad course or UG course of 3 years duration, it is not expected innovation, and that's why we do not have dissertations or you can say the thesis in case of UG courses, right? We have small projects, mini projects. Many times we put mini in front of it. What is the reason? The reason is pretty simple. That is, innovation is not expected. Okay, but what is expected is they must do on their own some small activity. Okay, and that is what is there in these schools as well. Okay, that's why they have this project based activity, that is learning by doing. Okay, so innovation is not at all needed, or creative and innovativeness is not at all needed for UG courses, but up to some extent you can accommodate it for PG or maybe post PG, like say PhD and all. Okay, but not for UG, not for UG. I
Okay, sir.
hope I have
Okay.
answered.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
हॅलो सर.
So let us, yes ma'am, please.
हॅलो
Yes,
सर,
yes.
मला ते ह्याच्याबद्दल विचारायचं होतं असाइनमेंट बाबत. कारण का आपण विद्यार्थ्यांना असाइनमेंट देतो, मग तो 60-40च असेल किंवा 80-20चा पॅटर्न असेल. तर ते असाइनमेंट आपण ज्यावेळी देतो विद्यार्थ्यांना सांगतोय की बाबा काय करून आणायचंय, कोणत्या वेळी सबमिट करायचंय वगैरे, पण 1-2 विद्यार्थी असे असतातच की त्यांना कितीही सांगितलं तर ते सबमिट करत नाहीयेत. मग ते तिकडे थेरीमध्ये पास होतात आणि इकडे असाइनमेंटमध्ये नापास होतात. आता बहुतांश कॉलेजमध्ये हीच परिस्थिती आहे. काही विद्यार्थी थेरीत पास होतात आणि बहुतांश असाइनमेंटमध्ये जातात. तर त्यावेळी ऍज ए टीचर म्हणून आपण काय करायला पाहिजे? कारण का कितीही सांगितलं, कितीही त्या विद्यार्थ्यांचा फॉलोअप जरी घेतला तरी ते थोडस दुर्लक्ष करतात असाइनमेंट बाबतीत. तर अशा वेळी थोडस आपण काय करू शकतो त्यांच्यासाठी?
Madam, ultimately it is a question of the mindset. You need to counsel them. That is the only solution. है ना? तो प्रॉब्लम क्या होता है, ये जो चक्कर है एक्चुअली, फिर से मैं एक थोड़ा सा बोल्ड स्टेटमेंट कर रहा हूँ, कहीं ना कहीं गड़बड़ अपने सिस्टम में है। ठीक है ना, कहीं गड़बड़ अपने सिस्टम में है। अगर आप देखें तो जैसा फॉर एग्जांपल, अगर आपने भी सुना होगा शायद बहुत सारे लोगों ने, कि IITs और इसमें क्या होता है कि एक सब्जेक्ट 2 या 3 टीचर पढ़ाते हैं, है ना? ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम में पढ़ा रहा हूँ तो मैं भी पढ़ाऊंगा, एक दूसरे ABC बंदा भी पढ़ाएगा, और उनके पास में प्रोफेसर्स भी उतने हैं। ये सारी चीजें अपने यहाँ अप्लीकेबल और पॉसिबल नहीं है। लेकिन ये क्यों है कि भाई अब यहाँ पे गड़बड़ कहाँ हो रही है, ये अपने को देखने की जरूरत है मैडम। कि जो क्वेश्चंस आप दे रहे हैं वो एक चीज है, दूसरा चीज बच्चा अभी कॉलेज में नहीं आता, ये सबसे बड़ा चैलेंज है। ये आप, मैं नहीं, सभी फेस कर रहे हैं। तो मतलब गड़बड़ कहाँ पे है? गड़बड़ कहीं ना कहीं अपने सिस्टम में है। अपन वो नहीं दे पा रहे हैं जो उनको चाहिए, और वो बच्चे स्मार्ट है, ये तो मानेंगे आप। एटलीस्ट नाउ दे आर इक्विप्ड, है ना? वो आप पे रिलाई करते हैं कि क्लास के लिए, कि भाई पढ़ने के लिए नहीं, वो कहीं से तो यूट्यूब से पढ़ लेगा, कोई कोर्सेरा ज्वाइन कर लेगा, कोई खान एकेडमी में बैठ जाएगा जाके, राइट? सो देर आर थाउजेंड्स ऑफ सोर्सेज। इसलिए मैं बोल रहा हूँ कि अपने लिए चैलेंजेस बहुत है। आपने जो कहा कि भाई बच्चे रिस्पॉन्ड नहीं करते हैं, ये प्रॉब्लम मैं अभी फेस कर रहा हूँ, मैं भी कर रहा हूँ, आप भी कर रहे हैं, सभी कर रहे हैं। बच्चे आते ही नहीं है। ठीक है, थोड़ा सा सेशन रिकॉर्डेड है इसलिए मैं ज्यादा बोल नहीं पाऊंगा, लेकिन ये चीज वी नीड टू इंट्रोस्पेक्ट एंड वी नीड टू फाइंड आउट आवर ओन वेज एंड मीन्स टू एड्रेस दिस प्रॉब्लम। दीज आर ऑलमोस्ट देयर एवरीवेयर। तो इसमें अब गड़बड़ ये है कि सिवाय आपके पास में काउंसलिंग के कोई इलाज नहीं है। उनको क्लासरूम तक कैसे खींच के लाएं, कॉलेज में कैसे लाएं, मतलब उसकी अभी देखिए, जो आपने एटीट्यूड बताया, उसका एटीट्यूड ये है कि भाई मेरे को 20 में से आपने 0 भी दिए तो चलेगा, मैं इधर 80 में से ले लूंगा जितने मार्क्स लेने हैं, समथिंग लाइक दैट। So which is very dangerous, meaning thereby he is losing his faith in our educational system. Okay, he is revolting, है ना? और रिवोल्ट करना बड़ा डेंजरस है। तो ये जो माइंडसेट है ये बच्चों का, आपको यकीन नहीं आएगा, मैं कॉलेजेस के नाम नहीं लूंगा, अच्छे प्रीमियर कॉलेजेस में बच्चे डिपार्टमेंट में क्लास के लिए जाते नहीं है। असाइनमेंट सबमिट करना और ये तो बहुत दूर की बात है, डायरेक्ट, क्योंकि अभी सिस्टम कैसा हो गया। और दूसरा एक्सट्रीम इसका ये भी है कि लोग असाइनमेंट में 30 में से 29-28 मार्क ले लेते हैं, और वो 80 में से 2 मार्क लेते हैं और पास हो जाते हैं। तो ये दोनों एक्सट्रीम जो है वो बड़े चैलेंजिंग है। तो इसको अपने को करेक्ट करने की जरूरत है, और इसीलिए मैं कह रहा हूँ कि बच्चों को सम वे और दी अदर आपको खींच के पकड़ना होगा, थोड़ा सा फ्लेक्सिबल रहना होगा। आप उनको बोलिए, चल बेटा तू यहाँ लाके फिजिकल नहीं सबमिट करता, चल मुझे मेरा ये गूगल क्लासरूम का पोर्ट ये है, अपना ये कोड है, इस पे जाओ और तेरा असाइनमेंट वहाँ PDF फॉर्म में सबमिट कर। तो वी हैव टू फाइंड आवर ओन सॉल्यूशंस फॉर दैट। लेकिन गड़बड़ कहीं ना कहीं अपने ही एंड पे, दैट इज व्हाट आई पर्सनली फील। थोड़ा सा गलत होगा मैं तो आप मुझे बोल सकते हैं, लेकिन
सर
ऐसा
बहुत
मुझे
अच्छा
लगता
बताया,
है।
अच्छा बताया। PDF में ही लेंगे सर आप
नहीं, वो
असाइनमेंट। हाँ
हाँ, अभी अभी उनको बोलिए उनके साथ
बस हाँ
टेक्नोलॉजी से
पीडीएफ नहीं ले लेंगे अब।
पीडीएफ में असाइनमेंट ले लीजिए उनका, के बोलना भाई तू मत आ कॉलेज में। लेकिन क्योंकि उसको कहीं ना कहीं गड़बड़ क्या लग रही है मैडम, उसको वो भी बर्डन लगता है कि मैं कॉलेज में जाऊंगा तो मेरा ऐसा होगा, फिर मैडम ये बोलेंगे, सर ये बोलेंगे, हो सकता है प्रिंसिपल के सामने खड़े कर दे मुझे, वगैरह वगैरह। तो ठीक है ना, ये चीजें हो रही है, लेकिन इसके लिए अपने को इसी तरह के सोल्यूशन प्रैक्टिकल निकालने होंगे, और ये टेक्नोलॉजी का आपको यूज करना होगा। ये टेक्नोलॉजी के कई फायदे हैं, मैं अभी आपको कुछ टूल्स बताऊंगा टाइम के हिसाब से। तो टेक्नोलॉजी के कैसे फायदे हैं कि आप जैसे आपका नैक का काम है, एनबीए का काम है, तो इफ यू यूज सम और दी अदर लर्निंग मैनेजमेंट सिस्टम, तो आपका डेटा उसमें पॉपुलेटेड रहता है। तो जब भी नैक की कमेटी आ रही है, फिर आपको असेसमेंट देने हैं, उनके क्वेश्चन पेपर देने हैं, आंसर्स उनके असाइनमेंट देने हैं, तो ये सब ई फॉर्म में रहेगा आपके पास में। तो ऐसा मेरा कहना है, एक छोटा सा मशवरा आप सबको है कि आप थोड़े से टेको सेवी बन जाइए, है ना। आपका डिसिप्लिन भले ही आर्ट्स हो, कॉमर्स हो, या साइंस और टेक्नोलॉजी वाले तो लोग करते हैं मोस्टली, लेकिन अदर फील्ड्स वाले भी जो हैं, तो इरिस्पेक्टिव ऑफ योर डिसिप्लिन, यू मस्ट अडॉप्ट टू द टेक्नोलॉजी। अगर ऐसा नहीं हुआ तो जैसा कि मैंने कहा, बैंकों में क्या हुआ था बीच में, जब कोर बैंकिंग आ गया, तो पुराने जो लोग थे उन्होंने बोला कि नहीं, हम कंप्यूटराइजेशन पे नहीं जाते, तो उनको गवर्नमेंट ने लमसम दे के घर पे बिठा दिया था कि भाई ये आपका पूरा बेनिफिट ले लो, लेकिन कल से आओ, ठीक है।
सर
तो
या
वो दिन दूर नहीं है। मैं विद ड्यू कॉशन, विद ड्यू रिस्पेक्ट, आई नो आई एम एड्रेसिंग टू अ क्राउड विच इज very senior and lot of maybe more competent than even than me, but this will happen, this is bound to happen। जो बदलेंगे नहीं उनके लिए कोई जगह नहीं रहेंगी, ऐसा मुझे लगता है, ठीक है।
सर यापुढे आपल्याला असं करता पण येणार नाहीये, कारण का एबीसी मध्ये त्यांना लगेच मार्क्स तिकडे दिसतोय, रिझल्ट जातोय विद्यार्थ्यांना डायरेक्ट, आणि त्याच्यामुळे आपल्याला घेण्याशिवाय पर्याय राहिला नाही।
पर्याय राहणार नाही सर, तुम्हाला आता काय त्यांच्या अनुषंगाने तुम्हाला चेंज करावा लागेल। दैट्स व्हाई आई एम सेइंग कि भाई टीचिंग में पहले जो एक मुझे याद आता कि भाई मैं जो इवन मैं तो इतना हार्डकोर टीचर था, कई बार मेरे हाथ में डस्टर रहता तो फेंक के मार देता था बच्चे को, चौक मार देता था कि भाई अगर ही इज नॉट पेइंग टू माय अटेंशन टू माय क्लास। लेकिन वो सिनेरियो आज नहीं कर सकते। आप कर सकते हैं कि बताइए मुझे क्लास में? नहीं कर सकेंगे। क्यों नहीं कर सकेंगे? थिंग्स हैव चेंज, ठीक है, थिंग्स हैव चेंज ड्रास्टिकली। आई वेरी वेल रिमेम्बर फाइनल ईयर के स्टूडेंट को कई बार मैं बातें बातें करते दिख गया तो उसको बोलता था भैया बेंच पे खड़े हो जा, तू पूरे से लेक्चर में बेंच पर ही खड़ा रहे। ये आज नहीं कर सकते। आप कर सकते हैं क्या? नहीं। क्यों नहीं कर सकते हैं? कि वो दौर अलग था, ये दौर अलग है, ठीक है। तो आपको चेंज होना होगा। अभी मैं कई बार डायस से नीचे नहीं उतरता हूँ, बिकॉज आई नो माई बाउंड्रीज वेरी वेल। और अगर आपने ये अडॉप्ट नहीं किया, ये अगर आपने चेंज नहीं महसूस किया, इसलिए मैं कह रहा हूँ कि टीचिंग से ज्यादा आपको आपका रोल क्या है? फैसिलिटेटर ऑफ लर्निंग। ये आपने कई बार सुना होगा। तो दैट इज व्हाई इट इज नीडेड। ओके। तो आपको ये मेंटल ब्लॉक से भी निकलना होगा कि सिर्फ मैं ही टीचर हूँ, आई नो एवरीथिंग। दैट इज अगेन wrong, with due respect I am telling you, right? That is again a myth। Okay, many times you never know, the students are far ahead than you, many times। Okay, many times, because the things have changed drastically, है ना। तो पहले का दौर अलग था। मेरे ख्याल से संजय महाजन सर ने हैंड रेस किया है। सर पूछिए, आप कुछ पूछना चाह रहे
सर मैंने बोला एबीसीआईडी का।
हैं? ABCID आपने बोला, चलिए ठीक है। ओके ओके। तो इस तरह से अपन आगे बढ़ते हैं। थोड़े से कुछ हैंड्स ऑन, ज्यादा तो नहीं, मैं अब टाइम अपने पास में तकरीबन है मेरे ख्याल से, फिर भी जस्ट टेल मी हाउ मच आई कैन कंटिन्यू। आधा घंटा आप सुनना पसंद करेंगे मुझे? चला आई कंटिन्यू अप टू 6 o'clock?
यस सर यस सर।
चलिए, थैंक यू वेरी मच। तो कुछ टूल्स मैं आपको बताना चाहूंगा। एक एक टूल्स देखते हैं, सिंपल सिंपल टूल देखते हैं। तो लेट मी शेयर माई इंटायर स्क्रीन विद यू। पहला टूल तो मेरे ख्याल से मैंने आपको हॉट पोटैटोस बोला है। आप में से किसी ने यूज किया है ये टूल? If yes, then you please inform me, ठीक है। या अगर थोड़ा सा कुछ टूल्स के बारे में आपको बताऊंगा, तो उसमें मेरी एक्सपेक्टेशन आपसे इतनी है कि अगर आपने वो सुना है तो बोल दीजिए मुझे, तो अपन वो छोड़ के कुछ चीज आगे बढ़ेंगे। ऐसा मेरा इतना मोटिव है, और कुछ नहीं है, ठीक है। तो चलिए देखते हैं, कुछ टूल्स देखते हैं। तो वेरी फर्स्ट टूल इज बेसिकली, मैंने जो कहा था आपको हॉट पोटैटोस, है ना। ये बड़ा छोटा सा हैंडी टूल है, मेरे ख्याल से आप देख पा रहे हैं मेरी स्क्रीन, इट इज विजिबल टू यू,
Yes,
मेरी
sir.
एंटायर स्क्रीन
Yes,
देख
sir.
पा रहे हैं ना, चलिए ओके। तो हॉट पोटैटोज एक छोटी सी यूटिलिटी है एंड इट इज अ फ्रीवेयर, इट इज अ फ्रीवेयर, फ्रीवेयर इन अ सेंस दैट इज इसको इस्तेमाल करने के लिए आपको कोई पैसे नहीं देने हैं, कोई सब्सक्रिप्शन फी नहीं है, कुछ नहीं है, इट इज कंप्लीटली फ्री, इट इज बिल्ड ऑन फ्री एंड ओपन सोर्स फिलोसफी, व्हाट दे कॉल इट एज फॉस फिलोसफी, ठीक है। सो इफ यू आर न्यू टू दिस, यू कैन डाउनलोड दिस using this hot potato 7 is the latest version, okay। तो आपने गूगल किया hot potato 7 डाउनलोड, so this is the URL, that is hotpot.uvic.ca, ठीक है। तो इस पे अगर आप क्लिक करते हैं तो it will show you a download section, तो इसमें से आप sorry what has happened, hot potato 7 download, okay, okay? ये 7 है, इसमें डाउनलोड सेक्शन आप ये देख पा रहे हैं मेरे ख्याल से, ठीक है। एंड दिस इज हॉट पोटैटो 7.0 इंस्टॉलर, इस पे आपको क्लिक करना है, एक छोटी सी फाइल, एग्जीक्यूटेबल फाइल आपके डाउनलोड फोल्डर में डाउनलोड हो जाएगी, उस पर डबल क्लिक करके उसको रन करना है। अगर आप में से कुछ लोग मेरे साथ करके देख रहे हैं तो यू कैन ट्राई इट पैरेलली, ओके। यू नीड टू क्लिक ऑन दिस, okay, one small file will be downloaded in your download section, as you can see here, okay। This setup underscore hotpot dash 70309.exe, ये जब डाउनलोड कंप्लीट होगा इस पे डबल क्लिक करिए, इट विल आस्क यू सम बेसिक क्वेश्चन, योर नेम, समथिंग लाइक दैट, 2 or 3 बेसिक क्वेश्चंस, क्लिक नेक्स्ट 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 नेक्स्ट, इट विल बी इंस्टॉल्ड ऑन योर मशीन। मेरे मशीन पे मैंने इंस्टॉल किया है, इसलिए मैं ये प्रोसेस नहीं करूंगा, आप में से जो करना है वो करके देख सकते हैं, ठीक है। एंड इफ यू आर फेसिंग एनी प्रॉब्लम यू कैन रेज योर क्यूरीज, ओके। So once it is done, okay, you can go to your तो इस तरह से एक आपका शॉर्टकट आ जाएगा हॉट पोटैटो 7, इसको ओपन करिए, okay? ओपन करते से ही आपको इस तरह का कुछ स्क्रीन मिलेगा, यस। तो देयर इट इज, जैसे मैंने कहा कि इट इज अ बंडल ऑफ प्रोग्राम, ये है आपका राइट में जो दिखाई पड़ रहा है, ये दिस इज द मैशर, ओके। मैशर आखिर में बताऊंगा मैं आपको किस लिए यूज कर सकते हैं। जैसे आपने 5 अलग अलग एक्सरसाइज बनाई, एक जे क्लोज से, जे क्विज से, जे क्रॉस से, जे मिक्स से और जे मैथ से, तो इनकी एक सिंगल एक्सरसाइज अगर आपको लॉन्च करनी है, एक वन कंप्लीट यूनिट, सो यू कैन यूज द मैशर। तो मैशर की फंक्शनलिटी लास्ट में देखेंगे, पहले एक आध एक्सरसाइज देखते हैं, कोई भी एक्सरसाइज बना के देखते हैं। क्या देखना पसंद करेंगे आप? मैं एक डेमोन्स्ट्रेट करूंगा, बाकी चीजें आप लोग आपके घर पे एक्सप्लोर कर सकते हैं ऑन योर ओन, ठीक है। इट इज प्रिटी हैंडी एंड स्मॉल टूल, और ओनली रीजन फॉर डेमोन्स्ट्रेटिंग दिस ऑन नंबर 1 इज इट इज फ्रीवेयर, okay, it is built on free and open source philosophy। so just tell me which you would like to see for the demonstration, okay। say for example
जे क्विज
अगर आप
सर।
क्विज, चलिए क्विज पे क्लिक करते हैं, मैडम ने कहा, okay, let us click on quiz, okay। क्विज पे क्लिक किया तो समथिंग लाइक दिस विल अपीयर। अब यहाँ पे आपको ऊपर का जो स्लॉट है, यहाँ पे आपको देना है टाइटल, दिस इज लेट्स से क्विज 1, ओके। और यहाँ पे आप क्वेश्चन पूछिए, जो भी आपको लिखना है, एक सैंपल के तौर पे अपन which year www that world wide become publicly available, ये क्विज हो गया। क्विज में मैंने यहाँ क्वेश्चन डाला है, यहाँ पे अगर आप राइट हैंड साइड पे आप देख पा रहे हैं तो यू हैव वेरियस पॉसिबिलिटीज हियर। वन इज द मल्टीपल चॉइस, okay। if you click on this drop down list you will find multiple choice, short answer, hybrid and multi select, ठीक है। तो ये 4 मोड है जिसमें आप क्विज सेट कर सकते हैं, ओके। से फॉर एग्जाम्पल अगर अभी आप लेना चाह रहे हैं, मैंने यही कहा था आपसे कि भाई अभी जितने भी टूल्स हैं दे आर इक्विप्ड। पहले ये था कि भाई सिर्फ इसमें ऑब्जेक्टिव टाइप ही क्वेश्चन पूछे जा सकते हैं, यानी एमसीक्यू पॉसिबल है, लेकिन शॉर्ट आंसर भी अगेन पॉसिबल है, हाइब्रिड पॉसिबल है, ओके, मल्टी सिलेक्ट पॉसिबल है। हाइब्रिड मींस एमसीक्यू एंड शॉर्ट आंसर और ए कॉम्बिनेशन ऑफ दीज टू और मेनी, और मल्टी सिलेक्ट भी हो सकता है, यानी इसके आप मल्टीपल करेक्ट आंसर भी दे सकते हैं, ठीक है, इफ योर क्वेश्चन डिमांड्स सो। ओके, सो लेट अस गो अहेड विद द एमसीक्यू। ओके, यहाँ पे आपको आंसर देने हैं, से फॉर एग्जांपल 1995, 2000, ओके, 2002 एंड 2015। अब ब्यूटी अगर आप देखें इस टूल की, तो मैंने ये ऑप्शंस तो बताए हैं। Theoretically speaking, there is no limit as far as the number of questions are concerned. मतलब आप 1000, 10,000, 50,000 कितने भी क्वेश्चन बना सकते हैं, ठीक है। तो यू कैन क्रिएट अ क्वेश्चन बैंक, व्हाट आई इंटेंड टू से, ठीक है। तो जैसी आपकी नेक्स्ट बैच आएगी तो वो क्वेश्चन बैंक में से आप क्वेश्चन निकाल के भी दे सकते हैं, ठीक है। सो इट विल इवॉल्व, व्हाट आई इंटेंड टू से इज इट कैन बी इवॉल्व एज अ सिस्टम इफ यू अडॉप्ट इट। तो एमसीक्यू हो गया, अपन ने आंसर्स दे दिए। लेट अस अज्यूम दैट 1995 इज द करेक्ट आंसर। तो यहाँ पे एक आप टैब देख पा रहे हैं, एक्सपेक्ट दिस आंसर एज द करेक्ट, ओके, क्लिक ऑन दैट, सिंपली क्लिक, okay, it will be marked as the correct answer, okay. So this way you can set maybe question number 2, question number 3 and so on, okay, and so forth. अब इसमें आगे जाते हैं तो थोड़ा सा आपको कुछ फीचर्स में बताऊंगा, ज्यादा तो आपको खुद को एक्सप्लोर करना है एट योर एंड। गो टू दिस कॉन्फ़िगरेशन मेनू, कहाँ से जा रहा हूँ मैं, थोड़ा सा आपको फिर से बताता हूँ, ओके। ये देख पा रहे हैं, ये क्वेश्चन मार्क है, दिस इज हेल्प, एंड जस्ट बिसाइड दैट यू हैव गो टू दी कॉन्फ़िगरेशन मेनू। तो इसका बाय डिफॉल्ट जो रहता है, जो अभी स्क्रीन लेआउट देख रहे हैं आप, ब्लैक एंड व्हाइट एंड ग्रे होता है, लेकिन इसके अगर आपको कलर्स वगैरह चेंज करने हैं, कुछ टाइम सेट करना है, कुछ मैसेज प्रॉम्प्ट करना है एट द एंड ऑफ एग्जामिनेशन, सो दैट कैन बी डन यूजिंग दिस कॉन्फ़िगरेशन मेनू। तो कॉन्फ़िगरेशन पे आपने क्लिक किया, ओके, ये एक्सरसाइज का टाइटल आ गया, यहाँ पे सब टाइटल क्विज आ गया, ठीक है। गो टू दिस टाइमर, ओ ये टाइमर पे जाइए आप। टाइमर में आप इसको 5 मिनट 10 मिनट जितना भी टाइम देना चाहिए यहाँ पे सिलेक्ट करिए। यू कैन मेक इट 5 मिनट्स 10 मिनट्स वॉट एवर यू फील लाइक। यहाँ पे आपका जो मैसेज है एग्जामिनेशन के बाद में, योर टाइम इज ओवर वगैरह, राइट। देन यू कैन गो टू दिस अपीयरेंस टैब। अपीयरेंस टैब में मैंने जो बताया, यहाँ पे आप जो विंडो देख पा रहे हैं, दिस इज द डिफॉल्ट सेटिंग, ब्लैक एंड व्हाइट एंड ग्रे। इसमें अगर आप कुछ कलर चेंज करना है आपको टाइटल या नेविगेशन बार का, तो आप चेंज कर सकते हैं बाय सिंपली क्लिकिंग ऑन दैट, है ना। ये जैसा ब्लू किया अपन ने वगैरह वगैरह, मैं इसकी डिटेल्स में जाऊंगा नहीं, सिर्फ एक कर्सर ही आपको बता रहा हूँ, ठीक है। इस तरह से अपन ने कुछ सिलेक्ट किया, ऑलराइट। देन दिस इज योर प्रीव्यू, देन सिंपली क्लिक ऑन ओके, डन। इसके बाद आपको इसको करना है सेव। तो यहाँ एक डिस्क का सिंबल देख पा रहे हैं आप, और कंट्रोल एस यूजुअली फॉर सेव इज द कीबोर्ड शॉर्टकट। तो यू कैन गो फॉर दिस सेव, से एक्सरसाइज 10, सेव, ओवरराइट, डन। अब इसके बाद यहाँ पे एक 7 वाला सिंबल दिख रहा है आपको, दिस इज एग्जिट। इससे बाहर निकलना है आपको, कंट्रोल क्यू या एग्जिट, या रेड डाउन एरो की इज देयर फॉर एग्जिटिंग द प्रोग्राम, एंड दिस 7 इज देयर फॉर एक्सपोर्ट टू क्रिएट अ हॉट पोटैटो। इस पे क्लिक करिए। ये अगर आपने सेव नहीं किया तो फिर से आपसे बोलेगा, ठीक है, इसको सेव कर लीजिए, एंड देन यू विल गेट समथिंग लाइक दिस। सो व्यू द एक्सरसाइज इन माय ब्राउजर, ओके, so something like this will appear, okay. Now you can attempt this quiz by simply clicking on that 1995 upon a correct here, your score is 100%, you have completed the exercise. So this way, let's say if you have 50 odd questions, all those questions will appear one by one and so on, ठीक है। तो ये क्विज देखा अपन ने, ठीक है। क्विज के अलावा आपको मैंने कहा कि इसमें आप बहुत सारी चीजें कर सकते हैं, बहुत छोटा सा हैंडी प्रोग्राम है, ओके, बहुत छोटा सा हैंडी प्रोग्राम है, और फ्रीवेयर है, सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट चीज। तो मैं दिखाना चाह रहा हूँ कि अब ये मैच द फॉलोइंग पे भी आपने क्लिक किया तो मैच हो जाएगा, जे क्रॉस बोले तो क्रॉसवर्ड हो जाएगा। तो ये चीजें आप मुझे लगता है कि बाद में आप यू कैन एक्सप्लोर ऑन योर ओन, ठीक है। आई विल नॉट डेमोन्स्ट्रेट ईच एंड एवरीथिंग, दिस इज जस्ट द ग्लिम्स, है ना। मोर और लेस इंटरफेस सभी के वैसी है, एक जैसी है। जैसे क्रॉसवर्ड का थोड़ा सा डिफरेंट है, लेकिन जे मैच, जे क्लोज, जे मिक्स ये तो पैरेलल है। मैशर की फंक्शनलिटी मैं आपको दिखाता हूँ। मैशर मैंने जैसे कि कहा कि आपने 5 अलग अलग एक्सरसाइज बनाई, उसका आपको एक यूनिट बना के देना है स्टूडेंट को, सो यू कैन यूज दिस मैशर फॉर दैट पर्पस। तो मैशर पे क्लिक करा जैसे आपने, तो समथिंग लाइक दिस विल अपीयर। यहाँ पे आपको ऐड फाइल्स करना है, सिंपली ये दिस प्लस साइन इज देयर, सो क्लिक ऑन ऐड फाइल्स, और यहाँ से आप जो भी एक्सरसाइज उठानी है उनको सिलेक्ट कर सकते हैं, कंट्रोल एंड दिस थिंग क्लिक, ओके, ओपन कर लिया इसको। यू कैन गो वन बाय वन और यू कैन से ओके टू ऑल। अपन कुछ रैंडमली सिलेक्ट कर रहे हैं तो इसलिए रैंडम रिस्पॉन्सेज आएंगे, तो नीड नॉट वरी, ओके। देन यहाँ पे आप देख पा रहे हैं लास्ट में बॉटम यू हैव अ बिल्ड यूनिट, ओके, क्लिक ऑन बिल्ड यूनिट, ओके। तो व्हाट इट विल डू, it will create, okay, it will create one unit out of the exercises whatever you have chosen, okay. Then you can say yes, okay. So this is something like as I said that the responses are random because यहाँ पे अपन ने कोई टाइटल नहीं दिया, randomly तो भी फाइल सिलेक्ट की तो रिस्पॉन्स विल भी रैंडम रहेगा। अदरवाइज यहाँ पे एक्सरसाइज 1, एक्सरसाइज 2, एक्सरसाइज 3, एक्सरसाइज 4 जो भी रहेगा वो सारी चीजें ऐड हो जाएगी, ठीक है। तो ये एक सिंपल सा मैंने आपको टूल बताया जिसको बोलते हैं कि हॉट पोटैटोस, राइट। इसके अलावा जो बहुत सारे टूल्स हैं, कुछ अपन इसका पैरेलल प्रोडक्ट जो है वो ऑनलाइन मोड में देखेंगे, ठीक है। तो वन ऑफ द टूल इज व्हाट दे कॉल इट एज द सोकेरेटिव। यहाँ से मैं थोड़ा सा फास्ट चलूंगा, इंटेंशन इतना ही है कि आपको जितने ज्यादा टूल बताए जा सके इतने कम वक्त में वो बताए जाए, दैट इज द ओनली ऑब्जेक्टिव। तो ये एक सोकेरेटिव करके एक टूल है, राइट। दिस इज वन ऑफ द अगेन वेरी फंडामेंटल टूल जो अपन ने अभी इसमें देखा, just now we have seen in case of hot potatoes. On the similar line, this is a complete online tool. So socerative.com is the URL, है ना। अगर आपको if you are a first time user, no worries, यहाँ login में आप you can log in using your, you need to submit a registration form, okay, wherein you can log in using your Gmail ID, okay. So as a matter of fact, for teacher it is expected that you must sign up, but student do not require any signing in, okay, they can directly access. How, that I will show you just now. So teacher sign up, let's say go to teacher sign up, तो टीचर साइन अप में ये आपका अकाउंट आता है, जनरल इन्फॉर्मेशन आपसे मांगेगा वो आपको देनी है। अपन साइन इन पे जाते हैं, मैंने मेरा अकाउंट क्रिएट करके रखा है, तो व्हाट आई विल डू, आई विल जस्ट लॉग इन। तो लॉगिन पे चलते हैं, तो लॉगिन पे जैसे आप क्लिक करोगे यू विल फाइंड टीचर लॉगिन एंड द स्टूडेंट लॉगिन। लेट अस गो टू टीचर लॉगिन, बिकॉज वी वांट टू सी व्हाट टीचर लॉगिन इज ऑल अबाउट, ओके। जैसे टीचर लॉगिन पे आपने लॉगिन किया, एक बार आपने रजिस्ट्रेशन फॉर्म भरना है, देन यू विल गेट समथिंग लाइक दिस। द प्रॉब्लम विद दिस टूल इज द बीटा वर्जन ऑफ दिस टूल इज फ्री, बट you want to use the pro version, as you can see here get pro, तो प्रो वाले के लिए आपको कुछ सब्सक्रिप्शन फी देनी होगी, इसीलिए मैंने इसको सेकंड इसमें बताया। लेकिन दिस इज अ वेरी इक्वली पावरफुल टूल व्हिच इज इन अ कंप्लीटली ऑनलाइन मैनर, ओके। नाउ व्हाट आर द पॉसिबिलिटीज हियर, you can conduct quiz, you can have MCQs, you can have true and false, short answer, okay, space race and exit and whatnot, ठीक है। Again it has got one typical feature what they call it as the AI functionality, मतलब आप इसको टॉपिक दीजिए, it will create quiz for you on its own. So I have created one quiz on NEP 2020, वो मैं आपको दिखाऊंगा यहाँ पे, ठीक है। So this is my library, तो लाइब्रेरी में जो देख पा रहे हैं आप, दिस इज NEP 2020। अब ये फ्री में आपको इट विल अलाउ यू टू क्रिएट 5 क्विजेस, ओके, नॉट मोर देन दैट, ओके। इफ यू वांट टू क्रिएट मोर देन 5 क्विजेस यू नीड टू गो फॉर ए प्रो वर्जन, ओके, गेट प्रो, उसकी सब्सक्रिप्शन फी है, मैं उस पर अभी बात नहीं करते हैं, ठीक है। देन जैसे मैंने कहा कि आपको दिस इज योर रूम नंबर, जस्ट लाइक यू हैव गूगल क्लासरूम कोड, in the similar manner once you register you will get something like this in the Socerative mode, wherein Atik 6972 is my classroom code. This I need to share with the student. उनको इतना ही code share करना है मुझे. And student login पे अपन जाके देखेंगे क्या होता है. तो say for example I want to launch an exercise. तो मैंने launch पे click किया. Okay. Now this is my live. Okay. Now as you can see here, the button has turned up. Earlier it was red. Now it is green, meaning thereby I have launched the quiz. Okay. Let's say you want to appear for that quiz. What you can do? You can go to student login. अब एक ही मशीन से मैं अगर स्टूडेंट और टीचर लॉगिन करूंगा तो इट विल क्रिएट प्रॉब्लम, मीनिंग देयरबाय माय टीचर लॉगिन विल बी ऑटोमेटिकली लॉक्ड आउट. So anyway, doesn't matter. We will just try to go for student login. Operative student login. ठीक है, पे क्लिक करिए. ठीक है. Now it is asking me room name. So there I need to type what? That Atik 6972. इतना ही कोड मैंने शेयर किया. से ज्वाइन. ओके. ज्वाइन करने के बाद it will ask you to enter your name. Let's say Atik, so as to distinguish with the other dates, let us give today's date, 16th of May. Okay. 2025. Okay. Done. All right. Now here I am attempting that quiz as a student. Okay. So as I have told you, you can create a mix of questions. One short answer, second one MCQ, maybe true and false. So whatever you intend to type here, you can type it. Okay. Or you can copy and paste it, submit the answer. Okay. Submit the answer. Now, this is my question number 2, which is of MCQ sort. Okay, which language policy does the NEP 2020 emphasizes? So this I have generated with AI functionality. I have simply given topic as NEP 2020, and now it has created its own all these answers. Let us select this 3 language formula. Submit it. Now, the beauty of this system is it is not only saying that your answer is correct, but it is giving some explanation as well. So this is coming on its own. The NEP 2020 emphasizes the 3 language formula to promote multilingualism and national unity and whatnot. Right. Now this is being happening, okay, on its own. See, so this is again very smart and powerful tool. Okay. मैं randomly कुछ तो भी लिख रहा हूँ. ठीक है. That was MCQ NEP 2020 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. I hope this is true. So let us submit true. ठीक है. ज़्यादा नहीं, 5 ही क्वेश्चंस है. No worries. Okay, this is the last one. Okay, and now you have completed the current activity, waiting for the next activity. Let us go to our, you can say, the teacher's login. Okay, as I have told you that it will be logged out automatically. Okay, so you need to log in once again. Now I'm logging in once again. Now once you log in, okay, you will find your responses over there. Now go to this live mode. Live result. Okay. So this is my response, Atik, Muhammad Atik, 16 May 2024. Now I can do lot many things here. It will give you reports. Okay, let's say you are teaching to more than one class. You can create more than one rooms for that. Okay, you can create, you have your own library and so on. ठीक है. तो ये एक टूल है, रिपोर्ट्स भी जनरेट करके देता है आपको ये डेट वाइज. ओके, तो ये सारे पर्पस के लिए आप इसको यूज कर सकते हैं. So this is another important tool which is completely online. Okay, again you can create a lot of examination exercises using this. Okay, now there is one more tool which we were talking about, is the answer garden. So answer garden can be used for gathering the feedback. मैं थोड़ा सा फास्ट चलूंगा ताकि आपको ज्यादा टूल्स बताऊं, इतना ही मोटिव है. लेकिन फिर भी आपको लगता है कि सर यहाँ पे रुक के इसको थोड़ा सा एलेबोरेट करिए, तो आई विल बी हैप्पी फॉर दैट, नो प्रॉब्लम. ठीक है. So this is the URL for this answergarden.ch. Okay. Now this tool can be used for various purposes. The very first purpose is, you can say, if you want to brainstorm on a particular topic, or if you want to gather the feedback. Let's say I am conducting this session. I want to gather the feedback from the participant. How was my session? Something like that. Okay, for that purpose, again, I can use it. So let's say we will use it for the feedback for the session. Okay, as you can see here, this plus sign is there. So if you want to create a new answer garden, simply click on create an answer garden. Okay, moment you click, something like this will appear. Now here I have given some title feedback for the session. Okay, now it works in 4 various mode. The very first mode is the brainstorm. है ना, कई बार आप क्लास में जाते हैं तो you wish that, or if you are teaching in online mode, you want to brainstorm on a particular topic. Okay, so you can create in that way. Or the another mode is the classroom mode, then moderator mode, and the logged mode. These 4 modes are there. Okay, let us go to this brainstorm mode. Okay, the beauty of this tool is the participant, they can respond only either in 20 characters or the 40 characters. So it has only 20. Let's say you want to give feedback about the session, so either you can write max 20 or max 40. So depending upon your requirement, you can select the appropriate length, answer length. Then you can give some admin password, okay, whatever you feel like for this particular session. And then at the end, this is again setting. You can accept the answers in uppercase, lowercase, or no change, something like that. And then this create button is there. If you click on this create, okay, the answer garden will be created. Okay. Now, let's say you want to give the feedback. Okay. What you need to do is you need to simply in your browser, you need to type this, that is this URL. Okay. HTTPS answergarden.ch, and this unique number is there. So every time, whenever you create a new answer garden, some new number will be assigned to this 4979990. Right. This is the URL. So this you need to share with the student or the participant, let's say for this particular session. Okay, now you can type your responses here. Whatever you type here, that will start populating in this particular screen. Okay, 40 character, as I said, is the limit. Okay, so you may say, okay, bhai, it was good, or whatever you feel like. Okay, whatever you feel like. So let's say I'm saying good. Okay, so that will appear. It will be appearing here. So you can take a vote on a particular topic. Then this is what I wanted to demonstrate here. That is, you can share this, you can export this in Excel form. Even you can create a QR code, and that QR code can be shared with the participant, so that directly they can scan the QR code and appear in the give the feedback. So you can go for a local, moderate, expand, admin is again there, and refresh is there. Okay. So let's say there are 100 responses coming up. Those things will be populated here. Then you can manipulate them. You can export them. Okay. You can derive certain inferences from those feedbacks and so on. Okay. So this is another important tool which is called as the answergarden.ch. Okay. Let's say if you are teaching a subject wherein you feel that the subject is little bit complicated, and blackboard or chalk is not enough for explaining the concept, तो आपको एक टूल बताता हूँ जिसको बोलते हैं नेट लोगो. And to your surprise, all these tools are academic projects. ठीक है. So we need to understand where we stand when it comes to अपने यहाँ पे भी projects होते हैं, आपके यहाँ होते हैं, मेरे institute में भी होते हैं, university department में भी होते हैं. लेकिन our academic projects, whatever time and energy we spent in developing those, most of the time it is sheer wastage of money and time. Lekin the developed nation, how do they work? Okay, so this is once again, this is built on free and open source philosophy. और इसका अगर आप URL देखें तो you can very well see it is ccl.northeastern.edu/netlogo/models/index.cgi. तो इसमें आपको कुछ नहीं, यहाँ पे जाना है, मॉडल्स में जाना है, लाइब्रेरी में जाना है. ओके, लाइब्रेरी पे क्लिक करिए. नाउ यू कैन सी दीज आर द वेरियस सब्जेक्ट्स. आर्ट्स के लिए यहाँ पे कुछ मॉडल्स हैं, बायोलॉजी के लिए हैं. ओके, देन केमिस्ट्री एंड फिजिक्स के लिए हैं. फिर उसके अलावा अगर आप देखें तो व्हेन इट इज कंप्यूटर साइंस, वंस अगेन देयर आर लॉट ऑफ मॉडल्स. तो एक हमारा प्रॉब्लम होता है, वी कॉल इट एज अ डाइनिंग फिलोसफर्स प्रॉब्लम इंटर प्रोसेस सिंक्रोनाइजेशन कम्युनिकेशन में. तो उसका मैं एक आपको सिर्फ यहाँ 2 मिनट में डेमो दिखाऊंगा. तो लेट अस सर्च इट, डाइनिंग. So there it is. तो इस पे क्लिक करिए, डाइनिंग philosopher's problem. Okay. जैसे उस पे क्लिक किया आपने, you will find something like this. Now the beauty of this tool is, again, it is built on free and open source philosophy. So nobody is the owner. You can download the code for this model, whatever has been built. So if you download the NetLogo application, the entire application can be downloaded. The code for this particular model can be downloaded. Again, you can run it on local machine. But let's say if you are a new user, okay, you don't know how to run it, you can directly run it in the browser. So this is the second thing, try running it in the NetLogo web. इस पे क्लिक करेंगे तो आप ये ब्राउजर में रन हो जाएगा. Then the entire documentation, why is it, okay, how it works, that has been explained. This is with regard to every model you will find. How to use it, things to notice, things to try, extending the model, and so on. तो अगर आप यहाँ देखें, थोड़ा सा देख पा रहे हैं, तो we will try to run it in the NetLogo web. ठीक है, I have clicked on that. So this is my simulated environment which is coming up. Now it is being loaded. Okay. Then the beauty of this is you have a command center, you have the NetLogo code. यानी इसका पूरा code जो है वो आपको यहाँ पे आप download कर सकते हो. NetLogo code, entire code is there. So you can share it with your student community. You can ask them to modify it. Okay. Then model info अगर आपको, if you are new, तो यहाँ पूरी model info आपको मिल जाएगी. Why is it and so on. अब मैं इसको run करके बताता हूँ. Say for example, I can fine tune the setup. मुझे 20 philosophers चाहिए या 30 चाहिए. let us make it 25 or 24. setup में जाइए, then you can change the hungry chances or the full chances. They are eating, sitting on a, they are all philosophers and they are sharing limited number of resources जो fork और ये खाने के लिए लगते हैं spoons, that is being shared amongst arbitrary number of resources. तो ये क्लासिकल प्रॉब्लम है कंप्यूटर साइंस का ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम में इंटर प्रोसेस कम्युनिकेशन. तो मैंने सेटअप कर दिया, मैंने अभी इसको किया कि भाई 24 philosophers है. ओके, नाउ I'll click on this go, this model will start working. देखिए go करते से ही now what is happening, the model is being executed. So it is showing in a you can say a beautiful graphical manner how the forks and these things are being shared amongst philosophers. The idea behind using philosopher here is philosophers normally they do not talk, right? So now this is you can say the spaghetti and the number of philosophers, how the resource allocation is taking place, what are their activities, whether they are thinking, how many of them are thinking, how many of them are hungry, and how many of them are eating. That is depicted in a graphical manner, right? That is depicted in a graphical manner. So this you can use as a supplement. This is for the sake of example I have told you, that is, let's say you are from arts or humanities. Again, there are models with regard to arts and humanities and so on. So you can use it as a complement for your teaching learning process, right? So this is NetLogo. ठीक है, अब थोड़ा आगे चलते हैं, थोड़े रिसर्च पे कुछ चीजें देखते हैं. So research पे I don't know whether somebody has talked on some on tool, but I'll take you to some of the tools wherein we'll just try to explore. Okay, we'll just try to explore consensus or maybe research rabbit. So one of the fundamental tool is research rabbit. ठीक है, लॉगिन करिए. इफ यू आर ए फर्स्ट टाइम यूजर, आपके जीमेल आईडी से लॉगिन करिए. अगेन फ्री एंड ओपन सोर्स है. ठीक है, जैसे ही आपने क्लिक किया, you will find something like this. Let's say I want to carry out literature survey on a particular topic. So you can go to this new collection. New collection में फिर collection में उसका title दीजिए. You simply add it. Okay. What I will do for saving the time, I will show you my collection earlier. Okay. Okay. The beauty of this tool is even you can fetch some of the earlier selections, whatever you have done from Zotero. So Zotero is a referencing tool. है ना, जो लोग रिसर्च में काम करते हैं, they must be aware about it. Okay, so you can directly import from Zotero collection. That is the additional features. But let us see. Let's say I have added these papers. Okay, I can add few more papers. okay, by simply clicking on this add. Okay. So you can add papers and थोड़ा बड़ा कलेक्शन देते हैं, देखते हैं AI tools for research. Okay, now it is being populated. Now it is showing me, let's say I want to dig on a particular topic. AI tool for research, ये मैंने एक topic दिया था. ठीक है, these are the 346 authors he has identified. और अगर आप इधर देख पा रहे हैं तो it is coming up with the relationship in a graphical form. That is how one author is related with the another one. Now this you can carry out in a timeline. There are various filter you can apply. Okay, you may apply maybe a timeline. एक पर्टिकुलर पीरियड का अगर आपको देखना है, पिछले 3 साल का देखना है, पिछले 4 साल का देखना है, so that can be again very well carried out. Okay, you can zoom it, zoom out. Okay, and then you can what you can do, these authors you have identified, and it is happening using this AI. The baseline, what is happening is it is doing research on your own. Normally what we do, we download some papers, then we go to their references, again download a number of papers, then we find out whether the paper is really important for us or not. That can be done automatically with the help of this particular tool, right? So research habit, again, very powerful tool. Okay, but you have to use it for you can very well use it. There is no asset problem, legal problem of using this tool. Maybe ethically, again, it is correct. Okay, so some laborious task you can automate using, again, now it is coming up with some suggested authors, 113. Okay, so all those suggested authors are there, 113 authors are there, right? So you can go for filters, as I have told you. That is, you can decide the timelines. Okay, you can decide about the connections and so on. So this is another tool, Research Rabbit. Then apart from Research Rabbit, you have tools like say Illicit. Okay. Illicit. So illicit.com है, इसको भी देख सकते हैं आप. You want to analyze a paper, okay, you can very well use this Illicit. Okay. Once again, I have created my own account, so that's why this is coming up here. Otherwise, let's say you want to find papers on a particular area. Okay. So you can simply type here, let's say AI in education and search Indian context. यू में से कि सर ये तो अपना गूगल से भी होता है, लेकिन यहाँ पे अब आपके जो रिजल्ट्स मिलेंगे आपको, यू विल बी सरप्राइज्ड टू सी दैट इज व्हाट एल्स यू कैन डू. इट विल नॉट ओनली गिव यू द पेपर्स, बट यू कैन एनालाइज दैट पेपर. ओके, तो इसमें फिर से वंस अगेन द डेमो वर्जन इज फ्री. ओके, डेमो वर्जन इज फ्री, बट let's say if you want to use the pro version, you need to pay for it. So it is giving me this upgrade kind of thing, right? But in demo, what you can do, let's say I want to analyze, I have selected this paper and I want to analyze this paper in terms of abstract, in terms of the features, है ना? तो ये 4 कॉलम अगर आप देख पा रहे हैं इधर, abstract summary देख पा रहे हैं, right? So it will, I can add these many things here. I can add these many things here. I can find out the main finding of the paper by simply clicking on or adding on this particular link. Okay, methodology, interventions, outcome measured, what are the limitation, and so on. So that paper will be analyzed in terms of all these things, right? And those columns will be added here. But in case of free, okay, let us try to add this methodology. Okay, so I have added methodology. What it will do, it will come up with the methodology. Okay, है ना? तो ये normally आप जब literature survey करते हैं, तो this study is a systematic literature review of whatever is a prisma and guidelines and so on. Okay, so this is the methodology it is coming up with regard to all those papers, whatever you have selected. Let's say you have selected 16 papers in this case. So it will come up methodology of all those 16 papers. So you can analyze any papers in terms of anything. Now it is being populated, as you can see here. It is extracting that stuff from the paper. So as if you are reading it manually and taking down notes, that can be done in a automated manner by using this illicit, right? So this is again very powerful and important tool for you can say the research analysis and so on. Okay, तो इसको आप यूज कर सकते हैं. इसके अलावा है there is a tool called consensus. Okay, again AI search engine for research. All right, consensus.app. Okay, ठीक है. तो ये शायद आप देख पा रहे हैं मेरा स्क्रीन होपफुली. ठीक है, यहाँ पे भी आप उसी तरह से जो मैंने क्लिक किया था, यहाँ पे आप उस तरह से आपका क्यूरी डाल सकते हैं. ओके, एंड अगेन इट इज वेरी पावरफुल. इट विल गिव यू lot of things. You can fire certain queries, okay, and you can get the responses in an online manner. तो ये सारी चीजें आप थोड़ा सा एक्सप्लोर करके देखिए आपके end. ठीक है, तो आई थिंक इट्स ऑलरेडी 6 o'clock, रादर 6:05. ठीक है, और भी बहुत से टूल हैं, लेकिन अभी थोड़ा सा अपने पास वक्त नहीं है. तो लेट अस स्टॉप हियर बिकॉज actually I wanted to have some discussion, okay, on let's say if there are any queries, okay, we will have some discussion on. क्या लगता है?
सर भारती फ्रॉम यवतमाल. सर जो बचे हुए टूल्स है वो आप ग्रुप पे डाल सकते हो क्या, उसका लिस्ट? अच्छे टूल्स है सर, ये हम लोगों ने एक्सप्लोर नहीं किए, मैंने तो नहीं किया है.
अच्छा, नहीं, ठीक है मैडम. तो ऐसे बहुत से टूल्स हैं मैडम, और रिसर्च के लिए भी अगर आप देखें तो एक छोटा सा अगर आप मैं वो टूल्स तो आपको डाल दूंगा, ग्रुप पर डाल दूंगा जो भी आप बोल रहे हैं. ठीक है, लेकिन एक टूल है. कंप्यूटर साइंस से कितने लोग हैं आपके पास अभी पार्टिसिपेंट में से? एटलीस्ट देयर आर फ्यू. कितने लोग हैं कंप्यूटर साइंस से? आपके यहाँ कंप्यूटर साइंस है क्या आपके कॉलेज में? आई एम नॉट अवेयर, दैट्स व्हाई आई एम आस्किंग. मैं तो कंप्यूटर साइंस के एक दो टूल्स में बोलना चाह रहा था, बाकी और कोई इशू नहीं है. ठीक है, so anyway, I think it's 6:05, but if there are any question, you can fire it now. We can have some discussion. Madam ने जो कहा, I will take note of it. I will definitely share some of the tools, rather the URL on the, you can say the group itself. Okay. So thank you very much for a patience hearing, and I hope you have enjoyed all the sessions.
Yes, sir.
Once again, I
Sir,
feel sorry for.
Sir, sorry to interrupt you, sir. We have to take some oral feedback from couple of participants.
Okay.
So before that, I would like to invite Dr. Nandakishore Gawade, sir, our course coordinator. Hello, Dr. Gawade, sir.
Yes.
Yes. So participants, we will take the couple of feedback from participants. Before that, of the formal validatory function of this program, I must congratulate all the participants to attend such kind of very flagship program of this UGC sponsored NEP orientation and sensitization program. And I must also thankful to all the participants and all the collaborative colleges, and Professor Gawade sir, course coordinator from the GS College, GS Art Commerce, GS Tompe Art Commerce and Science College will present his brief view towards this course. So now may I request Dr. Gawade sir to please present his brief. Sir, please.
Yes. Thank you, Ankit. Being a course coordinator, I pay my humble tribute to Santa Gadge Baba, late Sri Govindrao Dada Tompe, and Saraswati Ma. So actually, the idea behind this course was to get idea about the NEP implementation, which is done by the Santa Gadge Baba Amravati University, Amravati, and throughout the India or throughout the Maharashtra, the NEP implementation is going on in different universities. So our university is not back in that process. So I primarily think that this course is going to be a milestone for all of our faculty members, because every faculty members is having different aspects in their mind about the NEP. Different troubles are coming while implementing the NEP at university level, at colleges level, but there should be a course, or there should be a training program must be uh, for the faculties, as well as for the parents also, and as well as for the students also. तो मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि ये जो कोर्स MMTC ने दिया है, मालवीय मिशन टीचर्स ट्रेनिंग सेंटर, थ्रू आउट इंडिया देयर आर कोर्सेज गोइंग ऑन, but I am very much thankful to Dr. Atik sir, who have given me the opportunity to be a course coordinator for this particular training program. I can say it is a training program, or it is a workshop type, to get the uh, opportunity and to get come out of the different aspects of NEP. That is, IKS is there, holistic development is there, then uh, transdisciplinary, multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary approach is there, research and development, and apprenticeship and internship training programs for the students are there. So these all aspects are covered in these uh, 10 days. From 7th May it is begun, and now we are at the end phase. So I came across the different ideas, and what are the processes going on in my mind about the NEP. यानी NEP के बारे में मेरे इसमें जो क्वेश्चंस थे, वो क्वेश्चंस या डाउट वो सभी के सभी क्लियर हो गए हैं। मेरी तरह जो अदर फैकल्टी मेंबर्स है अपने अपने यूनिवर्सिटी के या दूसरे यूनिवर्सिटी के जो पार्टिसिपेट फैकल्टी मेंबर्स है, उनके दिमाग में भी जो चल रहे थे, क्वेश्चन चल रहे थे, डाउट चल रहे थे, तो मुझे ऐसा लगता है वो सभी क्वेश्चंस एंड डाउट क्लियर हो रहे हैं। और एनईपी इम्प्लीमेंट किया है, स्टेट गवर्नमेंट ने इम्प्लीमेंट, यूजीसी ने इम्प्लीमेंट किया है, स्टेट गवर्नमेंट ने इम्प्लीमेंट किया है, अपने यूनिवर्सिटी में इम्प्लीमेंट किया है, तो सब फैकल्टी मेंबर्स को, सब स्टूडेंट को, सब नॉन टीचिंग को, सब मैनेजमेंट को, सब जो कोई भी स्टेक होल्डर्स है ये टीचिंग प्रोसेस में, वो सभी टीचिंग प्रोसेस के स्टेक होल्डर्स को इसमें जाना ही है। इसको अगर इसको पार करना है तो हमें सब इसमें जो इंक्लूडेड यूजीसी ने जो बताया वो इंक्लूडेड एस्पेक्ट अपने को क्लियर करने पड़ेंगे, अपने को अडॉप्ट करने पड़ेंगे, और वहां से अपने को खुद से अपलिफ्ट करना पड़ेगा। थ्रू आउट दिस कोर्स आई केम अक्रॉस वन थॉट दैट कि एजुकेशन में जो कुछ भी अपग्रेडेशन हो रहा है ग्लोबल कॉम्पिटेंसी के हिसाब से या कुछ भी हो रहा है, तो उसको एज अ फैकल्टी मेंबर मुझे अडॉप्ट करना पड़ेगा, और मेरे साथ में जितने भी फैकल्टी मेंबर्स हैं उनको भी वो अडॉप्ट करना ही पड़ेगा। और उसके साथ में जो अपना माइंडसेट है, ट्रेडिशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी से रिलेटेड जो कुछ माइंडसेट है, वो अपने को चेंज करना पड़ेगा, बदलते दौर के हिसाब से, बदलते एजुकेशन पॉलिसी के हिसाब से, बदलते कॉम्पिटिशन्स के हिसाब से, बदलते एजुकेशन सिनेरियो के हिसाब से थ्रू आउट द ग्लोबल लेवल। एज ए फैकल्टी मेंबर मुझे भी बदलना पड़ेगा, मुझे भी चेंजेस लाने पड़ेंगे, और बाकी लोगों को भी वो चेंजेस लाने पड़ेंगे। ऐसा कह के जमेगा नहीं कि मुझे ये आता नहीं, मुझे ये जमेगा नहीं और मुझे ये करना नहीं। तो अपने को एक जो टीचर्स का रोल है थ्रू आउट द सोसाइटी और थ्रू आउट द यूनिवर्स, एक टीचर्स का रोल है एज अ टॉर्च बैरियर करके, तो वो अपने को अच्छे से निभाना है। और जो कुछ भी चेंजेस है ड्रास्टिक लेवल पे चेंजेस है, बट वी हैव टू फेस इट, वी हैव टू गो फर्दर, वी हैव टू इम्प्रूव आवर सेल्फ, एंड a teacher can do everything, and with the teacher all the society adopt that changes very well, and the teacher is having a motive role in this NEP, national education policy. With this I give my warm thank you to Malviya Mission Training Center, Amravati University, Dr. Atik sir, who give me an opportunity to be a course coordinator, and also different resource persons came from the different across the different universities and across the India, all the participants from the within university and outside the university, and Lastly, I want to mention that our college is going to be one of the developed college in this university. Recently, we got a grade by the NEP, and we have organized this training program or this workshop on national education policy orientation and sensitization. So we are having three institutions, that GS Tompe Arts, Commerce and Science College, Chandurbaja, late Sanjay Tompe and Samir Deshmukh College of Education, and Sumati Devi Tompe College of Pharmaceutical Science and Research. On the behalf of my management, my principal, and all the faculty members of GS Tompe Mahavidyalaya Sarvajanik Trust, I thank you to MMTTC team, Sant Gadgebaba Amravati University, Amravati, Dr. Atik sir, Mr. Ankit Thakur, and all the participants and all the resource persons from the different university. Thank you very much. Thank you once again.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Now we would like to take comments from participants. Please, anyone. Yes, Dr. Yadav ma'am, please.
येस सर, थँक्यू सर. कर्मयोगी गाडगे बाबा आणि आपल्याला NEP मध्ये ज्या मातृभाषेला प्राधान्य दिलंय त्या मातृभाषेतूनच मी माझं मनोगत व्यक्त करते. 7 तारखेपासून सुरू झालेल्या या कोर्स ओरिएंटेशन कोर्समध्ये प्रामुख्याने 12 सेशन्स झाले आणि ह्या 12 सेशनमध्ये खांजोडे सर असतील, मराठे सर असतील, थॉमस सर असतील, आतिक सर असतील, पवार सर असतील, अप्पाराव असतील, फेजिया मॅडम असतील, मनीषा मॅडम असतील, आणि अत्यंत चांगल्या पद्धतीनं NEP विषयी जे काही सांगितलं ते आतापर्यंत मी तरी काही ऐकलं नव्हतं. ऐकलं मी सेमिनार मधून, काही लेक्चर्स मधून, पण आता ह्या ओरिएंटेशनच्या माध्यमातून जी माहिती झाली ती तितकीशी काही झालेली नव्हती. पण आहे आपला जो कोर्स आहे तो खऱ्या अर्थानं परिपूर्ण झाला असं मला म्हणावं लागेल. कारण का ज्या काही नवीन टूल्स आहेत ते आतिक सरांनी आता सांगितले, तर त्या टूल्सचा आम्ही आमच्या त्या सेशनमध्ये आम्ही प्रामुख्याने त्याचा समावेश करू. आणि या सगळ्या कार्यक्रमामध्ये ज्यांनी नवचैतन्य निर्माण केलं असे अंकित सर यांनी सगळ्या पार्टिसिपेट्सना आणि कोर्समधले जे काही सहभागी सदस्य असतील त्यांच्यामध्ये जे काही नवचैतन्य तयार केलं, MMTTC सगळ्यांना जोडून ठेवलं. एक प्रकारे मी त्यांना आमच्या संत गाडगेबाबा अमरावती विद्यापीठाचे राफेल असं जरी म्हटलं अंकित सरांना, तर काही त्याच्यामध्ये वावगं ठरणार नाही. अत्यंत तडक आणि चांगल्या पद्धतीनं जी कार्यक्रमाची बांधणी केली ओरिएंटेशन प्रोग्रामची. कारण का इथं समोरासमोर कोण नाही, स्क्रीनवर दिसतोय ते तेवढेच आपण आहोत, तरी सुद्धा सगळ्यांमध्ये समायोजन साधून समन्वय निर्माण केला. गोडी गुलाबीचं वातावरण सोबत एज्युकेशनच्या दृष्टिकोनातून अजून काय करता येईल, माहितीचं आदान प्रदान, नवीन टेक्नॉलॉजीचा, AI चा कशा वापर करता येईल, याचं सगळं समायोजन जे अंकित सरांनी, आतिक सर यांनी केलं त्याबद्दल मी ॲज ए सहभागी सदस्य म्हणून आभार मानते आणि माझं मनोगत थांबवते सर.
धन्यवाद मैडम, आपके खूब खूब धन्यवाद. यस, एनीवन एल्स, और किसी को अपना फीडबैक अगर चाहिए तो.
हाँ, मैं डॉक्टर भारती बोलते यवतमाळवरून. सर, जेव्हा आम्ही याबद्दल ऐकलं, आम्ही म्हणजे आमच्या सरांनी प्राचार्य यांनी शेअर केला ग्रुपमध्ये मेसेज, आणि तेव्हा आणि 7 ते 16 हा 3 ते 6चा पिरियड आम्ही असा रिझर्व करून ठेवायचो सर. आणि अगदी आतुरतेने वाट पाहायचो की आज आपल्याला काहीतरी नवीन शिकायला मिळेल. तर मी तुम्हा सर्वांची खूप आभारी आहे माझ्या कॉलेजच्या वतीने की तुम्ही असा इतका सुंदर FDB, आणि तोही ऑनलाईन. ऑफलाईन आम्हाला बरेच वेळा लेडीजला मॅनेज होत नाही, तर असेच प्रकारचे FDB तुम्ही आता जसा अरेंज केला तसा भविष्यात पण 6-6 महिन्यातून जर अरेंज केला सर आमच्यासाठी, तर खूप आम्ही सगळे कृतज्ञ राहू. आणि खूप छान झाले, सगळे विषय छान झाले. बऱ्याच इतक्या गोष्टी नवीन होत्या की ज्या आम्ही स्वतः कधीच एक्सप्लोर केल्या नाही. जसं आज तुम्ही बरेचसे टूल्स घेतले, तर इतके छान वाटलं की कुठेतरी अपडेट झालो आम्ही, असं लक्षात येतं. कितीही सायन्स फॅकल्टीचा किंवा फार्मसीचा आम्ही फॅकल्टी असल्यानं सर, तरी पण हे अपग्रेडेशन कसं टाइम टू टाइम आमचं व्हायला पाहिजे. टीचर्स ट्रेनिंग एक सॉर्ट ऑफ असं वाटलं आम्हाला. तर असं तुम्ही नेहमीच अरेंज करा. एवढी मी तुम्हाला रिक्वेस्ट करते आणि अतिशय सुंदर एफडीपी तुम्ही अरेंज केला त्याबद्दल आभार मानते. थँक्यू सर.
धन्यवाद मैडम, धन्यवाद. यस, इज देयर एनीवन और कोई है जो अपना फीडबैक एक्सप्रेस करना चाहेगा? Okay. Yes, anyone else? Finally, now may I call Professor Atik sir for his concluding comments. Sir, please.
Thank you, Ankit. And I am really happy to see the comments जो भी आप लोगों ने सब ने आपने जो बहुत कुछ सराहा हमने. ये एक इंडिविजुअल का काम नहीं है, ये एक टीम वर्क है. Ankit is the integral part of it and he is the backbone of the MMTC, संत गाड़गे बाबा अमरावती यूनिवर्सिटी. तो बहुत सारी चीजें अच्छी सुनने को मिली. डेफिनेटली दिस इज बिगिनिंग ऑफ अ न्यू एरा. और ये कोलैबोरेशन गवाड़े सर का खासतौर से मैं धन्यवाद देना चाहूँगा कि उन्होंने, देखिए चैलेंजेस तो हर जगह हैं, चैलेंजेस हर जगह हैं, प्रॉब्लम्स हर जगह हैं, लेकिन प्रॉब्लम्स को देखने की बजाय अगर उसके सोल्यूशन पे ध्यान दें तो ज़्यादा बेहतर है. तो विद दिस नोट एंड द चेंजेस आर इनइविटेबल. मैं कई बार कहता हूँ कि ये तो इट इज़ बाउंड टू हैपन, है ना. तो जो चीज़ें जैसी है वैसी नहीं रहेगी, आपको या मुझे बदलना होगा. तो विद दिस नोट वंस अगेन आई थैंक द मैनेजमेंट of GS Pompe group of institution. I should say there are 4 institutes, right? And we are really happy to collaborate with you. And as madam has requested, definitely we will be in touch with you. And as and when the opportunity comes, definitely we will once again approach you and we will have definitely some collaborative program. So with this note, गवाले सर का फिर से एक बार धन्यवाद कि उन्होंने काफी परिश्रम लिए. इस देखिए ये जो चीजें हैं ये किसी एक से नहीं हो पाती है. ये आप सब मिलते हैं, सब एक माइंडसेट के लोग मिलते हैं तो ही चीजें आगे बढ़ती हैं. तो इतना ही कहूंगा कि आपका सबका सहकार्य रहा. और मैं रियली आज बहुत खुश हूँ. खुश इसलिए हूँ कि ये जो आखिरी सेशन है, आखिरी दिन है, और अगर इसमें 80+ पार्टिसिपेंट्स हमसे जुड़े हुए हैं, सो इट इज अ बिग अचीवमेंट फॉर ऑल ऑफ अस एज ए सेंटर. ठीक है. तो ये दर्शाता है कि आप कितने सीरियस हैं एनईपी के बारे में और आप इसको एज ए मिशन लेना चाहते हैं. तो विद दिस नोट एंड आई एम रियली हैप्पी. रियली आई डोंट नो, आई एम फॉलिंग शॉर्ट ऑफ वर्ड टू एक्सप्रेस माय फीलिंग, बट लुकिंग एट द इंथुजियाज्म जो पार्टिसिपेंट्स का मैंने फीडबैक भी अभी सुना है, और आखिर तक मुझे मेरे सेशन में भी काफी अच्छा इंटरेक्शन हुआ जो मुझे लगा. बीच में भी अपन ने काफी इवन सम डिस्कशन वाज इवन हॉट एज वेल. तो ये होना चाहिए, ये ब्रेनस्टॉर्मिंग होनी चाहिए कोई भी एजुकेशन सेटअप में. अगर ये नहीं है तो फिर मिसिंग है, कहीं ना कहीं कुछ गड़बड़ है. तो विद दिस नोट वंस अगेन आई थैंक यू ऑल फॉर एक्टिव पार्टिसिपेंट्स, active participation in this entire 7-8 days program, because without your participation I don't think that we will be able to achieve anything. So I hope you will carry forward this mission and will take this NEP 2020 as in a mission mode, and will definitely give whatever little knowledge you have acquired during 8 days. You will pass it on to your students and the other community. Okay. So with this note, once again, I thank you all, and I hand it over to Ankit for the concluding.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Participant, last and the concluding. दो इम्पॉर्टेंट चीज़ें हैं. एक तो पहले प्रोग्राम का फीडबैक जो है ये इटसेल्फ पोर्टल में अवेलेबल है. जहाँ से आपने लॉगिन किया था या रजिस्ट्रेशन किया था प्रोग्राम को, आपको फिर से वहीं लॉगिन करना है. देयर विल बी ए फीडबैक टैब. लेफ्ट हैंड साइड पे फीडबैक का एक टैब है. आपको एक फीडबैक देना है. सिंपली 3 or 4 क्वेश्चंस विल बी देयर. 3 या 4 क्वेश्चंस है वहाँ पे, और 3 और 4 क्वेश्चंस आप फिलअप करके आपका फीडबैक सबमिट कर सकते हैं. दिस इज द फर्स्ट थिंग. सेकेंड थिंग इज दैट आफ्टर फिलिंग अप द फीडबैक, आपका जो फीडबैक आप फिलअप करेंगे उस हिसाब से आपका डेटा हमारे पास आएगा, और आफ्टर वेरिफिकेशन ऑफ डेटा वी विल इशू योर सर्टिफिकेट बाय मंडे. ओके. सो इट इज़ योर रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी कि आप आपका फीडबैक जो है ये थ्रू पोर्टल के सबमिट कीजिए, MMC पोर्टल के थ्रू. आई विल पेस्ट द लिंक इन अवर व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप. This is the first thing, and after the verification of data, we will issue the certificate by Monday. Okay. And lastly, I must thankful to all the participants for their precious listening, especially Dr. Bharti ma'am, Dr. Manisha ma'am, Dr. Deepak Kumar Deshmukh sir, Dr. Tale sir, then after
Richard, please.
Dr. Gawale sir, then after Joshi sir particularly, and I will say must ki different opinions are there with regards to NEP, and yes, there will be some kind of problems also while we are implementing this NEP, but what we can do, there will be a system will change itself, but system till that system will change, we are going for some kind of changes that has been happening in the system. So I will request each and everyone, please be positive and take it positive. Solutions will be there, but we have to take the responsibility on our shoulder. And being this MMTTC, मालवीय मिशन शिक्षक प्रशिक्षण केंद्र, हम लोग सभी तरीके के कोलैबोरेशन को आपके साथ तैयार है. इस तरीके के NEP से रिलेटेड कुछ भी प्रोग्राम्स आप लोग आपके महाविद्यालय कॉलेजेस में कंडक्ट करना चाहते हैं तो यू कैन प्लीज़ कम अप विद अस. आप हमारे पास आइए, वी विल डेफिनेट प्रोवाइड टू हैंड्स ऑन ट्रेनिंग, और हम लोग आपके साथ इसी तरीके से कोलैबोरेशन में प्रोग्राम्स कंडक्ट करेंगे. तो जो भी आपके कलीग्स है, IQAC कोऑर्डिनेटर्स है पर्टिकुलरली जो NEP सेल मैनेज करते हैं, प्लीज़ टेल देम. और आपके महाविद्यालय में या आपके आजू बाजू के परिसर के महाविद्यालय में जो 2-3 महाविद्यालय या हायर एजुकेशन इंस्टीट्यूट जुड़ कर इस तरीके से हम अगर प्रोग्राम्स कंडक्ट कर पाए तो इट विल बी बेनिफिशियल फॉर आवर टीचर फैटर्निटी ऑल्सो एंड आवर स्टूडेंट कम्युनिटी ऑल्सो. So with this, I will once again thankful to you, all the participants, and I will take the leave. And now it is declared that the officially programs is already completed. Thank you everyone. Thank you. I have shared the link of feedback in our WhatsApp group. And WhatsApp group always be open for you. You can share whatever may be the ideas of you, or whatever may be the programs for you. So we can percolate to the other teachers as well as the student. Thank you everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
आज लेक्चर की भी PPT शेयर करेंगे क्या?
What ma'am?
आज का जो लेक्चर हुआ उसकी भी
Definitely ma'am, definitely within couple of time as I have received from Atik sir, I will share it. Okay ma'am?
Yes sir.
Yeah, and what can I do? I will paste the YouTube link so that YouTube link will be very helpful for you. So you can also watch from that. I have pasted that YouTube link in our WhatsApp group, and regarding PPT, as soon as I receive, I will share. So once again, thanks to everyone, and we will stop now. Thank you.